Chapter 1208 Overbearing Smashing. Chapter 1208 Overbearing Smashing. The atmosphere immediately became tense. Young Wanu's face tensed up. He had gone through great pains to find that item, and that thing was a high-grade soul treasure, but it was actually crushed by the Hellgate's hand. How strong was this? The faces of those elders darkened immediately, and they automatically took a few steps back, not daring to stand together with young Wanu. An elder took the lead and said, "Master, young Wanu is the one playing with you, not us." "Right, it's all his fault, it has nothing to do with us." "Young Wanu, are you trying to kill us?" They could not bear the anger of the Hellgate. Young Wanu's face tightened. He had long expected the elder behind him to have such a reaction, but he still could not quite accept it. At this moment, young Wanu took a step forward, and was not afraid at all as he said, "Since you can't believe it, then there's only the second choice. According to your Hellgate's rules, if you win, you must leave this place unconditionally, and must not harm anyone. If a high-grade spirit treasure could not resolve the crisis in the Yuan Yang clan, then there was only one path left. Fight. Fighting also had its methods. Hellgate had a rule that if you couldn't take out what they wanted and wanted to protect yourself, there was another way. Challenge. It could be a competition of martial power, spirit formations, weapons crafting, and alchemy. As long as he could win, he would be able to save the Yuan Yang clan. But if he lost, he would be doomed forever. From now on, those who are removed from this world, those who are related to you, will be endlessly hunted down until their death. As soon as young Wanu finished his sentence, all of the clan elders rushed forward and shouted, "Young Wanu, are you crazy? What are you going to use to fight them? Are you their match? If you want to die, don't pull us into the water, and don't pull our families into the water." How heavy were the consequences of the war? It was unimaginable. Young Wanu shouted and said, "Since he was killed, why not fight? This is the last bit of dignity we have as warriors." Dignity, my ass. What dogs hit dignity? Life is everything. If you want to die, go die. Don't drag us down with you, and don't harm our families either. An elder rebuked angrily. It was hard to avoid the Yuan Yang clan being destroyed. However, they did not want to implicate their family. Young Wanu said as his gaze darkened, "It is precisely your weakness that caused Hellgate to be so arrogant. Today, I am the great elder of Yuan Yang clan, and on behalf of the Yuan Yang clan, I declare war on Hellgate." Young Wanu's heart was determined. He was already prepared. Since he was going to die anyway, he might as well have a fierce fight. A martial artist had to have the dignity of a martial artist. They had to live on the run, and they were afraid of death. How could they walk further on the path of martial arts like this? Young Wanu's gaze was resolute. He took a step forward and said, "We choose to battle." The entire Yuan Yang clan quieted down. Everyone looked at young Wanu. Someone was excited, being forced by the Hellgate to his doorstep and not resisting even after bullying him. What was the point of living? However, even more people were afraid, because they knew very well that Hellgate's strength could easily suppress 10,000 Yuan Yang clans. This is crazy. This is crazy. Young Wanu, you have really gone mad. I'm not going crazy with you. The two clan elders rushed out and shouted loudly, "I am not an elder of Yuan Yang clan. I am not an elder of Yuan Yang clan. I am not anything at all. I want to leave this place. I want to." Not waiting for them to finish. In the group of 8, a man carrying a large saber on his shoulder moved, slashing with his long blade. "Catcher, catcher." The few elders were cut in half and fell to the ground. "No one can leave here alive." The voice was extremely cold. It crushed the entire Yuan Yang clan, and at this time, no one wanted to escape anymore. At this moment, the man in the lead walked out, and coldly looked at young Wanu while ridiculing him. "You choose to fight? Ha ha ha. Choose a battle?" Before his voice fell, his figure had already appeared in front of young Wanu. Young Wanu was almost unable to react. He noticed a pair of ice-cold eyes staring at him, and his entire body was crushed as he coldly snorted, "What qualifications do you have to choose to battle?" Boom. A loud sound echoed out. Young Wanu's body sank. "Catcher." He heavily knelt down before the man. Young Wanu's cultivation was already at the purple rank, but in front of the man, he did not even have the strength to resist, and was completely crushed. The man's eyes became cold and he asked again, "What qualifications do you have to choose a battle?" Heh! What was a steamroll? This was it. Young Wonu tried his best to resist, but he couldn't. It was as if his knees were nailed to the ground and he was completely motionless. At this moment, all of the elders at the entrance of the hall knelt down in unison, kowtowing as they pleaded for mercy. "Master, this is young Wonu's fault alone. He chose to fight, it has nothing to do with us. I beg of you, please spare our lives. Please." They all kneeled on the ground and begged for forgiveness. The man laughed sinisterly. Ha ha ha. He looked at young Wonu with interest and asked, "Are we still going to fight?" Young Wonu raised his eyes and roared, "Fight!" Boom. Crack. The ground under his knees cracked, the kneecap shattered, and fresh blood seeped out. The man from the Hellgate was also angry, and asked solemnly, "What qualifications do you have to choose a battle? A Yuan Yang clan like you doesn't even have the qualifications to participate, do you understand? Trash." Naked contempt. Young Wonu kneeled on the ground, unable to move. Even the disciples of the Yuan Yang clan were dumbfounded. "Are we still fighting?" The man said coldly. Young Wonu's eyes were bloodshot and his entire body was drenched in cold sweat, but he still remained determined. "Fight." Ha ha ha. The man let out a mad laugh as he glared at Wang Lin. Rumble. In the air, Lei Sheng exploded. The pressure was like a thunderbolt, striking down with a pu. Young Wonu spat out a mouthful of blood, his face turning white. The man smiled and said, "Fight? Are you worthy? Are you qualified?" Young Wonu was completely crushed. At this moment, a flame flashed in the sky, and then, a figure fell from the sky. Seeing young Wonu being crushed to the ground, the anger in Long Fei's heart surged, and he said faintly, "He doesn't have the qualifications, do I?" Long Fei rushed over. At this moment, the entire Yuan Yang clan was silent. The expressions of the 8 Hell Gates also changed. They stared deadly at Long Fei. His gaze did not move. The man in the lead chuckled weirdly, looked at Long Fei and said, "Ha ha ha, Junior Master, you have finally appeared." Chapter 1209 Shenyuan Li Son of God Ranking. Chapter 1209 Shenyuan Li Son of God Ranking. The purpose of this visit was not to deal with some ancient spiritual treasure. It was Long Fei of the Hell Gate. When Long Fei did not appear, the man had already tenaciously crushed young Wonu. Now that Long Fei appeared, the man's coercion loosened and he smiled at Long Fei. He said, "Since your junior master wants to fight, then we naturally have to give you face. However, junior master, if you lose, you should know the consequences." They were extremely familiar with the junior master of the Hell Gate. The Long Fei in front of him was the junior master, there was no mistake at all. It was at this moment. All of the elders said, "Master, this person has a super gifted vein, he is comparable to an ancient spiritual treasure, take him away, and let our Yuan Yang clan go." Not waiting for him to finish, the man waved his right hand and made a grabbing motion in the air, immediately grabbing the throat of the elder who was speaking. He looked at Long Fei and laughed, "His blood vein possesses super strength, is it comparable to an ancient spiritual treasure? Humph. You are belittling our Hell Gates too much." Crack. The elder's neck was crushed and he died instantly. In front of him, the powerhouses of the Purple Realm were like ants, with no power to resist at all. "Am I right, Junior Master?" The man sneered, and looked at Long Fei as if he was fish on a chopping board. Boom. At this time, Nyo Dasan also rushed over and stood by Long Fei's side. Without waiting for Nyo Dasan to speak, Long Fei pulled him back. The man in front of him was even stronger than the last time he came. Moreover, his eyes were filled with a strong killing intent. Without saying a single word, he would kill someone. Moreover, it could instantly kill Nyo Dasan. In front of him, Long Fei felt a strong pressure. This pressure was not from his aura, but from his aura. It was from the look in his eyes, it was the feeling of the powerhouse looking down on the weak. Long Fei slightly said, "Go and help the great clan elder up." Nyo Dasan walked over to Young Wonu's side, but Without waiting for him to help young Wonu, the man sneered, "Did I let him get up?" Long Fei's gaze tightened, and with a heavy sound, he said, "Support." The power of the blood vein on Nyo Dashan's body exploded outwards. Demon Ox King released his power, held onto young Wonu's body and exerted his strength. But the man laughed coldly and said, "I didn't tell him to get up. He would never get up. Kneel." Boom. Young Wonu's body did not stand up, but kneeled on the ground even more, and the entire ground caved in. Young Wonu spat out a mouthful of blood, and his face became even paler. Nyo Dashan used all of his strength, he simply could not do it. Cluck, cluck. Long Fei clenched his fists tightly, the joints on his body popping out as his eyes filled with killing intent. The man sneered, "Junior Master, you're not convinced, are you? If you are not convinced, then there is nothing you can do." Ha ha ha. The man started to laugh wildly. The uglier Long Fei looked, the more pleased he was with himself. Crushing Long Fei seemed to be something with a sense of accomplishment. The few Hell Gates behind him also revealed cold and scornful smiles. "Do we still have to fight? I think you should obediently come with me, because that way you can experience less physical pain," the man said. Even though he was afraid. However, the elders of the Yuanyang clan were even more afraid of death. "Long Fei, you are not a disciple of Yuanyang clan. If you want to fight, don't implicate our Yuanyang clan. Long Fei, if you really want to save the great clan elder, then leave with them. Being involved with us, we don't want to die together with you." Long Fei. They were all clamoring, afraid that Long Fei would choose to fight again. In that case, they would really die. Long Fei's eyes fixed as he said, "Fight." Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. The 8 Hell Gates all started laughing loudly. The man in the lead laughed, "You don't know the heights of heaven and earth. Do you think you're still the junior master of the past? Fight against us? All right. I'll make you understand it better today." At this moment, without waiting for the man to finish speaking, the sky suddenly split open. A white figure slowly descended and said, "Don't fight." The white shadow was a woman. It was a girl with a peerless beauty, a girl who he would never forget just by looking at her. Her white clothes fluttered in the wind, her cheeks were fair and rosy, and her eyes were clear. She was like a fairy that had never been touched in the world, breathtakingly beautiful. This girl. Long Fei felt a sense of familiarity. It was a bit familiar. However, he couldn't say where he had seen it before, but it felt a bit familiar, as if it was related to him. So beautiful. Long Fei's heart was moved. Could it be that this body was someone he used to know? The woman landed. The expressions of the 8 Hell Gates changed, and they all knelt on one knee, respectfully saying, "We pay our respects to the Holy Maiden." The Holy Maiden did not care about him, and landed in front of Long Fei with a step. Looking at Long Fei's unfamiliar expression, her eyes glimmered with tears, and she immediately held onto Long Fei's hands. "Brother Fei, you don't recognize me anymore?" Brother Fei? So familiar, but who is she? Long Fei shook his head and said, "I don't." The Holy Maiden felt her heart ache. "I am Leah. Have you forgotten about me?" Leah. Long Fei's mind was a complete blank, he really couldn't remember a thing, it was as if the memories in his body had been completely emptied. Other than Long Fei's own memories, there were no other memories inside. Shenyuan Li 19th son of God ranking, the supreme powerhouse of the bastard realm. Shenyuan Li said, "You will remember me, you will definitely remember me. I will bring you away from here, I will bring you to Shenyuan nationality. There will definitely be a way for you to recover your memories, and let you recover your strength." It was also at this time. Hellgate said, "Miss Holy Maiden, I'm afraid this isn't a good idea. He has already chosen to fight, you should be clear about the rules of Hellgate. Once you choose to fight, you must." Shenyuan Li's gaze darkened as he stared at the man. The man's expression suddenly changed, and he heavily kneeled on the ground. "Phut! If I say I won't fight, then I won't. Do you really dare to stop me?" With a single glance. What kind of power was this? Long Fei was getting more and more confused. He thought that his strength could be considered to be not bad, but compared to these people, he was not even considered dregs. Especially Shenyuan Li Er's power. Powerful to the point of exploding, the 8 of them did not dare to make a move as they did not dare to provoke this person. This was a powerhouse that was almost as strong as the heavens. Human, earth, heaven, and the 3 great emperors. There were only 100 people in each realm. There were only 100 people in the entire Chaos Realm. Human Emperor Realm, rank 19th out of 100. Shenyuan Li Er's strength was something that they couldn't even hope to match up to. However, a violet-robed figure flashed. A handsome youth stood in the air and said with a smile, "If Leah and the rest do not dare to stop me, then what about me? Junior Master, today you will fight even if you don't want to. You can't escape." Chapter 12:10, Target Unlocked. Chapter 12:10, Target Unlocked. 9 Secret Warrior Family, the Zhon Wushuang who was nicknamed Undefeatable. 26 years old. Emperor List, ranked 9th. An absolute genius amongst geniuses. Other than these titles, he also had a special title, the new Junior Master. Zhon Wushuang floated in mid-air with a luxurious body. Every single item was extremely precious. His eyes coldly stared at Long Fei, and said, "You can't escape." It was also at this time. The 8 Hell Gates knelt down heavily, and greeted respectfully, "Greetings, Junior Master." Zhon Wushuang ignored him and glanced at Long Fei in disdain, then looked at Shenyuan Li Er and said, "Leah, junior sister, he has already turned into this dog. Why do you need to help him again? We are destined to be people from different worlds." His words were full of mockery. Long Fei was puzzled. Who was this guy? Shenyuan Li Er's brows slightly creased, and said, "Zhon Wushuang, you don't have to bother with my matters. I'll do whatever I want. I won't allow you to touch Big Brother Fei." The tone was tough. Her right hand held onto Long Fei tightly, as if she was afraid that something would happen to Long Fei. However, she was also afraid in her heart. The difference between the 19th and 9th place was like heaven and earth. The strength of each powerhouse on the Emperor list was completely different. This was even greater than the difference in cultivation level. Zhon Wushuang smiled slightly. "Of course I need to care about you. Your father has given you to me to protect. How can I not care about you? In addition, as for this stray dog, everyone heard it just now. He chose to fight himself, and according to the rules of the Hellgate, he has to fight, and it won't stop until he dies." Zhon Wushuang would never let Long Fei escape. The current Long Fei was like an ant. He could die with a light pinch. Shenyuan Li Er blocked in front of Long Fei with a step, and said, "Zhon Wushuang, you want to fight, right? Then I'll fight you. Ha ha ha. Junior sister Leah, I won't fight with you. It would hurt my heart to injure you, so don't worry, I won't do anything. Only trash like him doesn't have the qualifications to make me do anything." Zhon Wushuang sneered, then glanced at Long Fei and said, "If you are a man, then don't hide behind a woman. A man should keep his word. Today, either you fight, or the Yuanyang clan rivers of blood will flow, and not a single survivor will be left." Shenyuan Li Er said, "Brother Fei, don't be provoked by his words." Zhon Wushuang said, "What's wrong? Scared? The junior masters of the Hellgate are actually afraid, ha ha ha. Where did you go to be so arrogant in the past? Now it's your turn to hide behind a woman. You're really a piece of trash." Zhon Wushuang mocked. Shenyuan Li Er blocked in front of Long Fei. Long Fei did not know Zhon Wushuang, nor did he know Shenyuan Li Er, but from the words they said just now, it was not hard to guess the relationship between them. Long Fei didn't care about any of this. Being bullied by others made him unhappy. Bullying in front of such a beautiful woman made him even more unhappy. With a haughty look, he mocked and mocked non-stop, causing Long Fei to feel extremely displeased. Long Fei was unhappy, but he still had to do it. Then, Long Fei moved. Ding. Target locked. Long Fei sneered in his heart, "What dogs hit Emperor list? I'll blast you to death with a cannon." But at that moment, the system beeped once again. Ding. Target locked. Long Fei's target had locked onto Zhon Wushuang, but in the instant it was locked on, the system instantly determined that it had failed to lock onto him. Long Fei was shocked in his heart. What's going on? Why did the lock fail? There's no reason. Even the powerhouse would not fail to lock onto him. He's just a mere emperorlist. How could the main gun not lock onto him? Long Fei was very puzzled. How powerful was the main gun? It actually failed to lock. System, don't you want to give an explanation? Isn't the energy of main gun something that can be killed just by locking on? Why did the lock fail? Long Fei asked. He really didn't like Zhong Wushuang. He didn't want to talk. He just wanted to blast his ass to pieces. It was that simple. However, if the system failed to lock onto him, he would not understand. The system did not reply him, as if he did not know either. Long Fei tried again. Ding. Lock failed. Ding. Target locked. No matter how many times Long Fei tried, the result would be the same: target locking failed. And he wouldn't be able to kill Zhong Wushuang. If the main gun was unable to do it, Long Fei no longer had any strength to contend against Zhong Wushuang. Every single one of the Emperor List's were dragon among men, unrivaled existences, and Long Fei was simply not a match for them. Zhong Wushuang said with disdain, Long Fei, you should still hide behind a woman, right? Do you think you can be a little more promising? Trash is trash. Sigh. I thought you'd be different after you awakened your power, but it seems like you'll still be the same trash as before, ha ha ha. Shenyuan Liya said angrily, Zhong Wushuang, have you said enough? Zhong Wushuang shrugged and said, Liya, do you know what he is now? He was a slave, he was a trash. What was his current cultivation? Purple realm? He is not from the same world as us. Liya, what's the use of you protecting such a trash? Shenyuan Liya said, I won't allow you to insult Big Brother Fei like this. Big Brother Fei is not trash, and you don't have the right to call him trash. Shut up. Zhong Wushuang's eyes became angry, and she shouted out loud, Junior sister, don't speak nonsense. Powerhouse is the ruler of this world, and the fittest lives. The weak are destined to be eliminated. This is the law of survival. We are only complying with the law. Long Fei, you won't be able to escape today's battle. The more Shenyuan Li defended Long Fei, the more he couldn't let him go. Moreover, to break through from the yellow rank to the purple realm in just a short span of 2 months, this speed was too terrifying. This was not the true power of the youth master of Hell Gate. If he used his full strength, it would become a hidden danger in the future. The tactic of the Zhong clan was this. He would not leave behind any hidden dangers. If he wanted to cut the grass, he had to get rid of its root. Zhong Wushuang would never let Long Fei go. Zhong Wushuang's brows moved, and said slightly, since you like to hide behind women, then. The 8 people of Hell Gate moved through the air and landed in front of the disciples of Yuan Yang clan. Kill. Leave none alive. At this moment, Long Fei's heart turned sinister. Fuck, I can't lock onto you, can't I lock onto someone else? Arrogant. Then let's see who can be more arrogant. Ding. Target locked. Boom. Chapter 1211, Defensive Main Artifact. Chapter 1211, Defensive Main Artifact Target Lock. Long Fei didn't even think as he stepped forward, the dragon coffin on his shoulder moved, and shot out. Boom. The main gun opened up and shot out. Their target was the leader of the 8 people from Hellgate, who also made Yang Wonu kneel. With this blast, Zhong Wushuang's face faintly darkened. Rumble. The Hellgate was unable to dodge, and after being struck by the main gun, his body immediately exploded. He had no way to retaliate at all. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing Hellgate. Rewards, 500,000 experience points, 45,000 holy source points, 10 energy values. Long Fei did not care about the system beep, but suddenly shouted, Fight, kill, what's wrong? I'm only asking you one question. What's wrong? Very arrogant. Everyone was shocked. No one reacted to the sudden shot, even Zhong Wushuang, who had reacted extremely quickly. At that moment, he did not expect Long Fei to blast Hellgate to death with one shot. One shot, one kill. The cannonball flew right past his face, and Zhong Wushuang could clearly feel that kind of power. An extremely strong existence and the power of the thing on his body were of the same attribute. Could it be? Zhong Wushuang frowned. He stared straight at Long Fei. Shenyuan Lia's face was full of excitement as he said, Big Brother Fei, This is your awakened power? Long Fei said, so what if you have that little power? Long Fei stared at Zhong Wushuang, aren't we going to fight? Come on, let's continue. Zhong Wushuang was shocked, her face turning ugly, but then, he was not scared by Long Fei and said with a sneer, Long Fei, do you think you can still emit that energy shockwave just now? You should need energy to fill this thing up, right? Zhong Wushuang laughed complacently, and said, your previous target was me, right? It's just that you were unable to lock onto me, which was why you chose someone else. Trying to scare me? You're still too inexperienced. It was as if he had seen through everything. Long Fei was extremely shocked in his heart, as if he had turned the sky upside down. No one knew about the main gun's attributes, and even more so, no one knew that he needed to be filled with energy. Moreover, he even knew that Long Fei would not be able to lock onto him. Why is that? Suddenly, Long Fei's heart was moved, and he suddenly thought of something. He also has main artifact on him. Defense main artifact. Zhong Xian was astounded. It must be so. As long as I can escape from the main gun's grasp, Defensive main artifact. Long Fei was shocked by the defense of the main artifact. The main gun could not lock onto him, and this was the only explanation. And then there was the filling of energy. The defensive main artifact on Zhong Wushuang's body should also need to be filled with energy. Blast him. Long Fei clenched his fists tightly, he was extremely excited, and stared at Zhong Wushuang as if he was staring at a tempting woman. Long Fei hated that he couldn't just kill her. At this time, Shenyuan Li immediately said, Zhong Wushuang, Big Brother Fei has won. If he chose a battle, then he would win one. The people of Hell Gate must leave this place. This was the rule. Zhong Wushuang smiled slightly and said, Leah, you seem to have gotten it wrong. Did I say that he would be sent to battle? No. Since there isn't any, this battle doesn't count. Naturally, he did not win. Zhong Wushuang laughed proudly. Following that, he looked at the other Hell Gate. That person immediately walked out. Zhong Wushuang smiled playfully. It's only starting now. Long Fei, do you think you are stupid? As the Hell Gate, he actually doesn't know the rules. If you were to blast him to death with your cannon, you would have one. Ha ha ha. It can't be. Both of Shenyuan Li's eyes burned with anger, and he said, Zhong Wushuang, you are too despicable. Despicable? This is just an excuse for the weak. Zhong Wushuang said with a smile. He was the powerhouse, and the powerhouse was an existence that ruled over everything. All in all, he wanted to play with Long Fei, and get rid of him. Long Fei's gaze tightened as he took a step forward. Shenyuan Li grabbed him, and said, Big Brother Fei, you're not his match. Long Fei shook her hand away and said, Don't worry, I'll be fine. Every single powerhouse of the Hellgate was an expert. The difference in cultivation level was too great. Long Fei was not his match at all, but, rather than being crushed, it was better to fight. If they did not win, the people of Hellgate would definitely not let them off. This place would definitely be a river of blood. This was not what Long Fei wanted to see. Long Fei walked out and said, I will make you convinced of your defeat. Zhong Wushuang sneered and said, Come out and fight. Not bad, not bad. As soon as he finished, the figure of the Hell Gate disappeared in an instant. Long Fei's Purple Realm's cultivation had been unleashed, and he released the idea to sense the location of the powerhouse. Ha ha ha. With the cultivation level of the Purple Realm, even if the idea is released, you still want to sense the position of others? Wow, how powerful is this? This is so scary. Zhong Wushuang laughed. Trash. You don't even know what a difference is. Don't kill him so early. Play around with him first, and kill him after you've played him long enough. As soon as he finished, a voice rang out from the void. Understood. Also at this moment, Long Fei's body sank. Boom. He was sent flying by a force and landed heavily on the ground. Shenyuan Li worriedly called out, Brother Fei. Niu Dashan also followed, Boss. Long Fei crawled up from the ground, and said, Don't come over, I'm fine. Blood dripped from the corner of his mouth as his chest cracked open. The power of the previous strike was very strong, and it was almost impossible for Long Fei to withstand it. However, Long Fei would not admit defeat just like that. He shouted out with a deep tone, "Come again, yo. You're quite arrogant." The powerhouse of the infernal realm sneered, and his figure disappeared again. This time, his speed was even faster, something that the purple realm could not reach. Boom! Long Fei was struck down onto the ground heavily. Phut! Spitting out a mouthful of blood, Long Fei clenched his fists tightly and said, "Come again." Zhong Wushuang laughed loudly and said, "Leah, did you see that? So what if trash like him could recover his cultivation?" Trash. You can't even beat a mere bodyguard like Hellgate. Do you really need to protect someone like him? Kid. If I were you, I would have just died, lest I embarrass myself in this world again. Boom. Long Fei was once again smashed to the ground. His speed became faster and faster, and he was knocked down time and time again. At the same time, the moment Long Fei activated the idea, the card started to spin quickly. Card selection. He was also choosing the powerful powerhouse that was being summoned. Chapter 12:12 Heavy Critical Strikes. Chapter 12:12 Heavy Critical Strikes. Selecting a card was the same as choosing a card. People continued to appear on the card. Diamond Wolf, if you don't kill, Powerful Diamond, Asso. A series of awesome figures. However, these were all people that Long Fei did not want, so he was still waiting. He had never fought back, and with his current level, he simply could not fight back. The gap was too big, and the Hellgate's cultivation was too strong. Other than that, Long Fei still wanted to take care of Zhong Wushuang together. This was what Long Fei wanted. Look, there isn't even room for a backhand. He really is trash. Zhong Wushuang mocked. The difference in their cultivation levels made no reaction at all. Shenyuan Li frowned. At the same time, her power was surging, and no matter what, she had to protect Long Fei. Zhong Wushuang's power was also moving. No matter what, I won't let him live. As long as he lives, I won't be able to obtain your heart. Shenyuan Li, you are my, Zhong Wushuang's, woman. Yes, 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 yes. I will not let him live in this world. Zhong Wushuang's heart was filled with intense killing intent. I can't hold on any longer. I can't hold on any longer, boss. Niu Dashan shouted. He wanted to rush up to Hellgate multiple times, but he couldn't even see the shadow of Powerhouse. Even if he rushed up, it would be useless. Yang Wanu's heart tightened. Long Fei. The faces of the elders from the Yuan Yang clan were all deathly pale, as they thought to themselves, we're finished, the Yuan Yang clan is finished. I was killed by Long Fei. It's all because of him. Suddenly, Zhong Wushuang's idea moved, and said lightly, kill him. The Hellgate's target tightened and his strength immediately soared to the highest point. The corner of his mouth drew back and he coldly shouted, die. Whoosh. His figure flashed out like lightning. Shenyuan Li instantly felt the killing intent on his body surge. She cried out in alarm, Brother Fei, be careful. The moment she left, Zhong Wushuang moved his body and blocked in front of Shenyuan Li saying, Leah, the battle is not over yet. Buzz. A powerful binding force wrapped around Shenyuan Li Zhong Wushuang said, Long Fei is just a piece of trash, he isn't worthy of you at all. I am your best choice, watch him die, only then will you give up. Then, Zhong Wushuang looked at the motionless Long Fei coldly, and laughed coldly, die. Boom, boom, boom. A series of explosions occurred in the air. The Hellgate attacked with all his might and directly locked onto Long Fei's head. The card was still spinning. Suddenly, the card was fixed on a cartoon character. And in that instant, Long Fei's brows twitched, and roared out, come out, Pikachu. A ball fell down. Long Fei suddenly flung himself out and a yellow Pikachu flew out. In that instant, the Pikachu's power moved, 1,000,000 volt. Web. Sizzle. A huge electric net protected Long Fei in the middle. At this moment, the Hellgate rushed forward, but he simply did not have enough time to stop the car. Crackling. There was a flash of lightning and then it was charred black, its mouth was wide open, and smoke was still coming out of its mouth. Its two eyes were incredibly wide open. Dead. Ding. The system sounded out. Long Fei raised his gaze slightly, stared at the distant Zhong Wushuang, and bellowed, "Are you victorious now?" These words were like a slap to Zhong Wushuang's face. Pain. Zhong Wushuang's face turned ugly, his fists clenched tight, his anger soaring to the skies as his eyes stared straight at Long Fei. Just now, he did not even know how that Hellgate died. They only knew that Long Fei had thrown out a ball. That ball. At this moment, a cute little fellow stood at Long Fei's feet, and he was mumbling something. He had never seen this before. Was this his new power? Zhong Wushuang's eyes turned sinister. Long Fei laughed coldly. "Zhong Wushuang, did this daddy win now?" Niu Dashan roared out, "Boss is mighty." Zhong Wushuang's face became even uglier. "Victory? Trash, you're thinking too much. Hellgate has never lost before." Long Fei knew it would be like this. "Trash, trash, then let me see who is the King trash." Suddenly, Long Fei moved, wind god leg. With a step, he rushed out and kicked towards Zhong Wushuang. Beside him, the Pikachu was following him closely like a shadow. Shenyuan Li suddenly shouted out loud, "Brother Fei, don't." Zhong Wushuang suddenly felt that it was funny. "Fight with me? You overestimate yourself." With that, he channeled the power of heaven and smashed down before Long Fei could even get close. Rumble. A huge explosion shook the sky. Long Fei's body heavily smashed onto the ground. On the ground floor, a huge crater of 100 meters wide and several meters deep was created from the explosion. The buildings had all collapsed. Long Fei laid in the deep pit, unable to move. The Pikachu beside him was also as weak as a deflated ball. A crushing blow. Critical hit, heavy hit. This was the strength of the 9th rank of the Emperor list. This move was simply invincible. Long Fei wanted to stand up inside the deep pit, but he realized that he couldn't even get up. It was too uncomfortable. It wasn't because of the pain in his body, but because of the mental crushing pressure. It was as Zhong Wushuang had said, they were people from completely different worlds. He thought that no matter how strong Zhong Wushuang was, he would have a chance to shake her, but now, this kind of strength did not even have the chance to touch the corner of his clothes. This was the difference. It was too big, so big that even Long Fei himself couldn't imagine it. Pikachu. Swoosh. The Pikachu disappeared. Its strength was crushed as well. Zhong Wushuang moved through the air and landed in midair. He sneered as he looked at Long Fei who was stuck in the pit, and said with disdain, "Calling you a trash is even giving you face. In front of me, you're not even worth a trash, do you understand? An ant." Ha ha ha. Zhong Wushuang started to laugh maniacally. Long Fei's hatred soared to the sky, his heart was filled with incomparable fury, as though he was unwilling to give up, and extremely unwilling. Zhong Wushuang retracted his laughter, and said, "Trash, it's time to send you to hell." Zhong Wushuang's strength moved. A silhouette dashed out, carrying the shadow of the demon Ox King of Ox with it. "Try attacking my boss." Boom. A surge of power directly sent the demon ox flying backward. It spat out a mouthful of blood, and collapsed on the ground. It was unknown whether it was dead or alive. At this time, a ray of fiery light descended, and the fire unicorn stood in front of Long Fei. "Ancient divine beast. Then you have to get the hell out of my way." Zhong Wushuang once again smashed downwards with his power. Boom. The fire unicorn was also sent flying, but he was still unable to withstand Zhong Wushuang's strength. Zhong Wushuang sneered, and revealed a gaze that looked down upon the world, and said, "Who else wants to die for him?" Chapter 12:13, Collapse. Chapter 12:13, Collapse arrogant beyond compare. Similarly, it was incomparably powerful. Niu Dashan of the ancient divine level King Bull's blood could not withstand it. The ancient divine beastess could not resist it either. In the entire Yuan Yang clan, no one could stop Zhong Wushuang. His power could instantly turn the Yuan-Yang clan into ruins. This was the power of the Emperor List S, an ability that could almost reach the sky. Zhong Wushuang laughed coldly, stared at the Long Fei in the deep pit and said, "Long Fei, isn't it better to just be safe and live as your slave? You have to run and awaken your power. Aren't you courting death? Originally, you could have lived for a few more years, but now, like a poor worm," Zhong Wushuang said with disdain. At the same time, a powerful energy surged out from under his palm. "Living no longer has any meaning to you, now. Go to hell, poor devil." Another wave of attacks rang out. Before receiving the power, Long Fei's eyes opened wide in anger, his mind thinking non-stop, "What do we do? Baron Nashor? Not an opponent. Monkey." Suddenly, Long Fei recalled the pair of fiery eyes of truth from the golden cudgel and said, "Monkey, give me your power. Give me your power, great sage Qi Tian. I want to kill him." The eyes of the golden cudgel slightly opened. It was just that. It closed again after a brief half-second. Ding. System notification. The second stage strength cannot be activated. Ding. System notification. The second power cannot be activated. It was impossible to open it. How do I open the second layer of strength? Long Fei roared in his heart, and started to panic when he saw the force of Zhong Wushuang getting closer and closer. The feeling of being crushed was too unbearable. The feeling of being pressed down on a chopping board and read with a single slash was simply too unbearable. How exactly do I open the second layer of strength? Ah! Long Fei's eyes darkened as he muttered, "Too late." Rumble. Flames shot up into the sky. Long Fei looked at the white figure in the air that blocked Zhong Wushuang's attack, and at this moment, a few images appeared in his mind. "Brother Fei, will you marry me in the future?" "Yes. Brother Fei, Zhong Wushuang always bullies me. I'll help you. Brother Fei." These scenes were very brief. They were those of two children when they were young. "Shenyuan Li Er." Zhong Wushuang suddenly roared out, "No." He withdrew his strength. He charged forward. Shenyuan Li Er's body lost its gravity, and his entire body fell down, slowly floating down from the sky. Looking at his eyes, face to face. It was like a slow-motion picture in a movie. Long Fei looked at Shenyuan Li Er and for some unknown reason, his heart began to hurt. Shenyuan Li Er, on the other hand, had a playful and cute smile on his face, just like the smile on the screen, captivating him. Long Fei could not help but shout out, "Leah." Shenyuan Li Er's smile became even more brilliant, and he said, "Brother Fei, do you remember Leah?" It was also at this time. Her body dropped onto Long Fei's body with a put sound, their eyes met, and the distance between their eyes were only less than 10 centimeters, quietly watching like this. Shenyuan Li Er's delicate face seemed to be firmly engraved in Long Fei's mind. Long Fei hugged both of his arms. She quietly hugged her. Shenyuan Li Er's face was filled with peach blossoms, revealing a happy smile. No became even more furious. Idea like a blade, separated Shenyuan Li Er and Long Fei and instantly landed beside Shenyuan Li Er. She looked at her pale white face and said, "Leah, Leah, Leah. Ah. Dog, it's all your fault." Zhong Wushuang seemed to have gone crazy, his palm striking the top of Long Fei's head. Shenyuan Li Er grabbed onto Zhong Wushuang's hand and said, "Zhong Wushuang, didn't you want me to agree to your marriage? All right, I promise you now. Please let him go. I promise you everything." Zhong Wushuang's eyes were shocked. There was not a single bit of joy in his heart, but more of pain. Since Shenyuan Li Er was still protecting Long Fei at this time, what did they take him for? Cluck, cluck. Zhong Wushuang's teeth chattered loudly as he suddenly carried Shenyuan Li Er and stood in front of Long Fei. He put on a proud expression and asked, "Long Fei, did you hear that? She's my woman now. Ha ha ha. Shenyuan Li Er is my, Zhong Wushuang's, woman. If you dare appear in front of Li Er again, I will make you wish you were dead." Zhong Wushuang said every word with killing intent. A strong killing intent. He really wanted to kill Long Fei, but Shenyuan Li Er was heavily injured. He had to rush back with all his might, otherwise her life would be in danger. Moreover, Xianyuan Li had already agreed to his proposal. However, she agreed for someone's sake. Zhong Wushuang rose into the air and looked at Long Fei, who was trapped in the hole, with contempt. You are just a pitiful bug that needs the protection of a woman. Long Fei, you better remember this. Never appear in front of Li Lia again. Then, Zhong Wushuang shouted, "Let's go." Whoosh. In the blink of an eye, he was already thousands of miles away. The 7 people of Hellgate also instantly disappeared, as if they had never appeared. Yang Wanu ran to the side of the deep pit, looked at Long Fei, whose eyes were completely bloodshot, and immediately rushed down, saying, "Long Fei, hold on, you must hold on." Long Fei roared, "Why?" In God's martial continent, he was stomped by Hong Tianjun. In Chaos Realm, he was stomped by Zhong Wushuang. This time, his heart was in an even worse state. The hatred in his heart was even more intense. He was on the verge of collapse and going berserk. It was too hard. Spiritual pressure. The difference in cultivation. Long Fei clenched his fists tightly and then tightly. His nails dug into the flesh of his palms and fresh blood dripped out. He laid in the pit with his mind filled with killing intent. At this moment, many disciples and elders of Yuanyang clan surrounded the deep pit. There was no gratitude in their eyes. There was only contempt and ridicule, because it was simply not Long Fei who had saved them. Long Fei had almost caused them to fall into an eternal abyss. At this moment, an elder said coldly, "Yang Wanu, bring the 2 slaves and immediately scram out of Yuanyang clan. Don't create any more trouble for Yuanyang clan." "Yes. Get out. Get out of Yuanyang clan." "What happened to the Yuanyang clan to you guys? Do you still have the face to stay here? Get lost." The power of the Hellgate was already very terrifying. Right now, they had even offended the powerhouse on top of the Emperor list, which was even more terrifying. Yang Wanu frowned. Long Fei's eyes dimmed, and his mind collapsed. No matter how hard he worked, how hard he trained, but so what? He was still unable to protect the people around him. It was really useless. Long Fei's heart received another heavy blow. Chapter 124, Myriad Alliance Sect. Chapter 124, Myriad Alliance Sect. The blow this time was even more devastating than the one before. Because it was filled with helplessness. No matter how much Long Fei fought, it was useless. The powerhouse on top of the Emperor list was too strong. It was something he couldn't even touch. Compared to Hong Tianjun, Zhong Wushuang was too strong. The 9th place Emperor list. Possessing the power of the entire Hellgate. The 9 Secret Warrior family was one of the oldest clans in the Chaos Realm. If any of these powers combined together, they would be able to push Long Fei down and he would not be able to get up. In this Chaos Realm, he had nothing. How could he be an opponent? How could he fight against them? The difference was too big, causing Long Fei's heart to explode from the pressure. Yang Wanu supported Long Fei as he climbed out of the pit step by step. Long Fei's body was powerless as if he was a cripple. Yang Wanu looked at the surrounding elders of the Yuanyang clan, and said, "Long Fei is severely injured, so after he recovers, we will leave. I also guarantee that we will never take even half a step into the Yuanyang clan, can we?" "No way." Wu Yingliang shouted, "Yang Wanu, you disregarded our objections and started a war against the Hellgate, so from that moment onwards, you have not been an elder of the Yuanyang clan. As for Long Fei, he's just a slave, he doesn't have the qualifications to join the Yuanyang clan. If it wasn't for you, I would have killed him right now. Do you still want to rest in the Yuanyang clan?" "Humph. Yang Wanu, that's impossible." Wu Yingliang said heavily. At this time, he would definitely not give Yang Wanu any chance. His words immediately resonated. All of the elders spoke out. "Yang Wanu, you are no longer Yuanyang clan's elder. Yuanyang clan cannot keep you any longer, so take this slave away. Yang Wanu, get out. Get out of Yuanyang clan." Yang Wanu was injured, and both his knees were smashed. He could stand up completely relying on the support of the holy source, and he could not walk very far at all. If a person lost his strength, he would be instantly trampled by someone. This was reality. Not only the elders, Even the disciples of the Yuan-Yang clan were the same. Yang Wonu pleaded, "Elders, even if I, Yang Wonu, am begging you, as long as Long Fei's injuries are stabilized, we will leave. If this goes on, he will die." The power of that attack was too strong. Long Fei suffered from severe internal injuries. If he was not treated soon, he would die. Ha ha ha. Wu Yingliang laughed coldly. How funny, what does it have to do with us if he, a slave, dies or not? There's more. Yang Wonu, who do you think you are? Beg us? Are you qualified to ask us for help now? Wu Yingliang glanced at Yang Wonu's injured knee, and laughed coldly. You better get the hell out of Yuan-Yang clan now, otherwise, don't blame us for being ruthless. Wu Yingliang revealed a cold and contemptuous smile. The moment he finished speaking, the surrounding elders stepped forward and stared at Yang Wonu with murderous glints in their eyes. Yang Wonu's brows tightened, and said, "All right. Then let me call my daughter." He did not return to his residence. Since he was going to leave the Yuan-Yang clan, he must bring his daughter along. Wu Yingliang laughed, and said, "Yang Wonu, you can leave, your daughter can't." Yang Yu was his life, and upon hearing that they wanted to capture his daughter, Yang Wonu's eyes widened, and his gaze carried killing intent. "Elder Wu, what do you mean by that?" A vigorous aura burst out. Wu Yingliang's face sank, and coldly laughed. "Your daughter has offended Lai Yang, and offended the 10,000 Alliance sect, so she will naturally stay and apologize. If we let her go, how are we going to account to the WAN True Union?" Wu Yingliang's reminder made all the elders' faces change. The power of the 1,000 Alliance sect was also enormous. If Lai Yang escaped, he would definitely take revenge, and he liked Yang Yu, so only Yang Yu could calm his anger. "We can't let Yang Yu go." "Right, we can't let him go. Yang Wonu, your daughter must stay here." Yang Wonu's gaze tightened, and said, "What if I don't agree?" "Humph." Wu Yingliang laughed. "Yang Wonu, you better agree, otherwise, none of you will be able to leave Yuan-Yang clan." As soon as he finished, the surrounding elders immediately surrounded Yang Wonu, and the disciples on the plaza also quickly gathered around. Yang Wonu was injured. Long Fei was injured, Niu Dashan's life or death was unclear, and the fire unicorn was also injured. In this kind of situation, it was simply not a match for the large number of people in Yuan-Yang clan. Wu Yingliang laughed complacently. "Yang Wonu, have you decided yet?" The surrounding elders all had gleeful looks on their faces. Yang Wonu was completely crushed. Yang Wonu was furious in his heart, but he could not fight head-on with him at this time, and said, "I will stay here and account for the 1,000 Alliance, and release my daughter." Ha ha ha. Wu Yingliang laughed out loud, and said, "Yang Wonu, who do you think you are? Do you think your life is valuable? You're just a piece of trash now. If I were you, I would leave immediately. If you dare to delay any longer, none of you will leave." In his heart, he really wanted to kill Long Fei, but the relationship between Shenyuan Li and him made him have no choice but to be careful. As long as Long Fei left Yuan-Yang clan, he would die. Even if he died, it had nothing to do with him. As long as they were allowed to leave the Yuan-Yang clan, he was forcing Yang Wonu to make a choice. And at this time, Yang Wonu had to make a choice. Other than that, Long Fei had to live. To offend Lai Yang, his daughter's life only consisted of Long Fei's destiny pill, and Long Fei had to live. Only Yang Yu. For the time being, she was safe. As long as Long Fei recovered, he would not need to worry. He could kill his way to the Yuan-Yang clan to save his daughter and everything would be fine. As Yang Wonu was helping Long Fei up to prepare to leave, at this moment, a disciple hurriedly ran over and said, "Elder, something bad happened." Wu Yingliang, who was already the leader of the elders, slightly shouted, "What is it that makes you so flustered?" The people of Hell Gate had already left, what else was there to panic about? That disciple said, "The Holomoon sect, the Holomoon sect, and the people from the 1,000 Alliance sect have arrived." What? Everyone was shocked. The complexions of all the elders suddenly changed. It's too fast. As soon as the people from Hellgate left, they came. This is bad. Yang Wonu supported Long Fei and quickly left the room. They could not stay any longer as Long Fei was seriously injured and he had lost all will to fight. However, Wu Yingliang's reaction was extremely fast. He shouted, "Yang Wonu, you can't leave anymore. And him. The trouble is caused by this slave, he must bear all of this. Someone, come. Surround them." With Wu Yingliang's order, they quickly surrounded Yang Wonu. At this time, at the entrance of Yuan Yang clan, Lai Yang laughed coldly, "Yuan Yang clan, I'm back." Chapter 12:15, Get Down. Chapter 12:15, Get Down. Just as the people of Hellgate left, the people of the Thousand Alliance sect followed suit. Was this a coincidence? Of course not. Lai Yang had never thought that abnormal powerhouse would actually appear on the Emperor list, and they were even the most ancient 9 secret warrior family and Shenyuan clan. Zhon Wushuang and Shenyuan Li were both super powerhouse of Emperor list. Even if he was given 100 guts, it would still be impossible for him to clash with them head-on. Of course, this was not because the influence of the sect was inferior to the Hellgate, but it was just that the sect did not come to the super powerhouse. Thus, Fiery Blaze was waiting at the foot of the mountain. If the Yuan Yang clan was massacred, he would leave. If not, that would replace execution. Long Fei, you dog slave, your father is back. This time, he was determined to kill Long Fei and make sufficient preparations. The most crucial part was that Long Fei was defeated in one move by Zhon Wushuang. This was the perfect time to beat a drowning dog to death. Yang Wonu's face sank, and exclaimed inwardly, "This is bad." Long Fei was the same as before, his eyes were dim and he did not have any fighting spirit. Zhon Wushuang defeating him in one move was a huge blow to him. He thought that he would be able to sweep across the entire Chaos Realm just because he had main artifact S, however. In this world, he was not the only one who owned main artifact. The Chaos Realm was much more terrifying than he imagined. The reason why the main gun could not lock onto it was because the first stage of the Dragon Coffin's power was not strong enough to shake the defensive main artifact on Zhon Wushuang's body. If he could not even lock onto the main gun, what strength did he have to fight Zhon Wushuang? Impossible. Yang Wonu looked at the helpless Long Fei and said, "Brat, cheer up, I need your help. Yang Yu needs your help too, your brother, your war pet all need your help." Ha ha ha. At this moment, Fiery Blaze arrived at the square, laughing maniacally. Wu Yingliang immediately welcomed them with a smiling face, saying, "Lord Lai Yang, I have already surrounded them, and am waiting for you all to come. Today, the slave and Yang Wonu will not be able to escape. Also, I've already asked someone to bring Yang Yu over." Wu Yingliang was like a dog who had seen its master, wagging his tail and begging for mercy. He was extremely obedient. Lai Yang smiled coldly and said, "Very good." Lai Yang looked at Long Fei, who did not have the slightest intention to fight, and said with cold contempt, "Losing dog, ha ha ha. Long Fei, you also have such a day? Weren't you very arrogant in front of me back then? Aren't you the one who is rampant? Why does it look like a dead dog now?" Yang Wonu said, "Fiery Flame. Old thing, scram to the side, do you have the right to speak here?" Without waiting for Yang Wonu to speak, Lai Yang glared and shouted, "Blast him. Ha ha ha. Lord Lai Yang, just leave this matter to us." Wu Yingliang's eyes moved, he and the 2 elders moved at the same time, and the 3 people came over. Yang Wonu's face darkened, he took out a long sword and protected Long Fei. It didn't matter if he died. He couldn't let Long Fei die. Long Fei was his daughter's hope. Moreover, Long Fei was severely injured, and could not receive any more injuries. Wu Yingliang said, "Yang Wonu, get on the ground." With the 3 of them attacking, 3 powerful moves struck towards Yang Wonu. His knees were crippled, and with the support of the holy source, his cultivation was reduced to such a level that even profound rank warriors would have a hard time dealing with him. The 3 of them were all in the high-grade profound rank. Yang Wonu held his sword tightly, locking onto a person. He threw a palm attack. Bam! Boom! Boom! At the same time he attacked, the other 2 people also attacked at the same time, their 2 forces bombarding onto Yang Wonu's back. Unable to hold on any longer, Yang Wonu staggered and fell down onto the ground with a heavy thud. Wu Yingliang revealed a cold smile, took the opportunity to rush up, stepped on Yang Wonu's head with a heavy foot, and then smashed him onto the ground and shouted, "Young Wonu, you have such a day, ha ha ha. It feels so good." Wu Yingliang laughed madly. At the same time, Long Fei threw himself into the air and fell to the ground. His eyes were still lifeless, as if everything that had happened had nothing to do with him. His heart was still in turmoil. It was filled with powerlessness. Lai Yang also laughed out loud, "Ha ha ha. Well done." Wu Yingliang immediately said, "Master Lai Yang, as long as you give me the order, I will immediately kill him." He just wanted to lick his shoes for Lai Yang. A few clan elders from the Yuan Yang clan followed up. "I have also endured him for a long time. Young Wonu has always been arrogant. Who does he think he is?" "That's right, Lord Lai Yang is only giving face to his daughter. What does he count as?" The wall was pushed by everyone. Right now, everyone wanted to step on Young Wonu and perform better in front of Lai Yang. The Yuan Yang clan was surrounded by the Holomoon sect. Their fate was entirely in the hands of Yang Lai. Young Wonu's body was in intense pain, but the pain in his heart was even more intense. A Yuan Yang clan actually turned out like this. His heart was so heartbroken that it felt like it was about to die. Bam! Wu Yingliang viciously kicked Young Wonu in the chest as he disdainfully said, "Young Wonu, all of this was caused by you today, and you still have the face to talk about me? Old thing." It was also at this time Yang Yu was brought up. Her eldest father was stepped on by Wu Yinglong, and when Yang Yu fell down on the ground, his entire body was covered in blood, and he was powerless. Her heart was in pain. Yang Yu fiercely struggled free from his two disciples, and immediately rushed forward, "Father, father." The two disciples wanted to rush up but were glared back by Lai Yang. Lai Yang looked at Yang Yu with a glimmer in his eyes, and smiled, "Little junior sister, you're finally here." Yang Yu turned his head, stared at Lai Yang and said, "Lai Yang, release my father, release Long Fei." "Ha ha ha." Lai Yang laughed complacently, "Little junior sister, if you say you can release me, then I won't have any face at all. I have to show some gratitude, right?" Yang Yu asked, "What do you want?" Lai Yang said, "You have always been very clear about what I want." Yang Yu's face darkened. The expression in Lai Yang's eyes moved, the force under Wu Yingliang's feet became even stronger, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. It was also at this moment Lai Yang walked to Long Fei's side and looked at Yang Yu proudly, "Little junior sister, I have always loved and protected you. You understand my thoughts very clearly. Today, as long as you kneel down and beg me to marry you, I will release your father. After all, you will be my father-in-law in the future." Lai Yang did not want to obtain Yang Yu's heart right now. He only wanted to think of Yang Yu's people and turn her into a plaything to vent. And then Lai Yang looked at Long Fei and laughed coldly, "As for Long Fei, that will depend on your performance on the bed tonight, ha ha ha." Chapter 12:16 I Need a Class Up. Chapter 12:16 I Need a Class Up, ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. Lai Yang was laughing, while the few elders behind him were laughing. Wu Yingliang also laughed along, and when the elders of the Yuan Yang clan saw him laughing, they also started to laugh. Everyone on the Yuan Yang clan laughed complacently. Anu rushed out, his heavy sword stabbing towards Lai Yang, who was laughing proudly, and said, "You are not allowed to insult Miss. Anu doesn't want it." Yang Yu shouted loudly, "You're courting death." Both of Lai Yang's eyes were filled with rage as he turned to face Anu's throat. Suddenly, a Kailar sound came out as blood spurted out and his windpipe was torn off. Anu. Yang Yu's face turned pale white. Anu's body swayed and fell, dead. Lai Yang threw away the windpipe in his hand, took out a handkerchief and stabbed it with the blood in his hand, then said with a cold smile, "Yang Yu, there is a limit to how long I can wait. Agree, or not agree? I've never been on someone like you, who is born with a terminal illness. I wonder how you feel, ha ha ha." Yang Wonu was enraged, he was stomped under Wu Yingliang's feet, his face was facing the ground, and was unable to say a word. Yang Yu looked at Long Fei. Long Fei said powerlessly, "But." At this moment, a small voice arose in his heart. Some are kneeling down and begging for mercy, while others are kneeling down, and others are kneeling down. The voice grew louder and louder. Kneel. Wu Yingliang shouted. The elders of the Yuanyang clan also stared at him and shouted, "Kneel. To be able to become Lord Lai Yang's woman is something that you've cultivated for 8 lifetimes. For a waste like you, who only has a natural body, to be able to live in such a state, it would be a disgrace. Stop dragging Yuanyang clan down. Kneel before Lord Lai Yang." Tears rolled down his face and he looked at the sun, who was standing high above him with a complacent expression on his face. Yang Yu's heart tightened as he said, "All right, I'll kneel down for you." Ha ha ha. Lai Yang laughed out loud. With extreme pride, he said immediately, "Kneel on the ground and beg me to marry you. If you want Long Fei to live, then you must serve me well tonight, ha ha ha." Yang Yu's heart was bleeding. At this time, she couldn't do anything. She wanted her father to live, wanted Long Fei to live. Right now, the only thing she could do was to obey the fiery blaze. This was her only choice. Yang Yu slowly kneeled down in front of Lai Yang, and said, "Lai Yang, I beg you, please let them go, I'm willing to do anything for you." Ha ha ha. Lai Yang laughed out loud, not bad, very obedient. "Now, kowtow and take a look." Wu Yingliang roared out, and said, "Kowtow." The people from the Yuanyang clan shouted in unison, "Kowtow." Yang Yu looked at Lai Yang tightly clenching his fists, but in that instant, his fists loosened and he heavily smashed down. Yang Wonu crazily roared in anger, "Ah! Ah!" Lai Yang laughed out loud. Wu Yingliang also laughed crazily. "Yang Wonu, did you see that? Did you see that? Ha ha ha." But, when they were able to laugh, a figure slowly stood up. His entire body was covered in blood, and his eyes were bloodshot. He spoke with a gloomy voice that sounded like it came from hell. "Do you really like it when people kneel down and kowtow so much? Don't you feel ashamed that so many of you are bullying a girl?" Long Fei stood up. His body was trembling, and he couldn't stand properly. The system was also issuing an alarm. Ding! System notification. Player's health point is low, please supplement. Ding! System notification. Player's health point is low, please supplement. Zhon Wushuang's one move had almost instantly killed Long Fei. Long Fei stood up. The violent killing intent in his mind grew stronger and stronger. The rage in his mind grew stronger and stronger. Was begged for mercy by Shenyuan Li. Excited by Yang Yu's begging. At this moment, Long Fei's fighting spirit soared once again, burning brightly. The collapse in his heart started to heal in an instant. There is nothing impossible in this world. I can stand at the peak of God's martial continent. I can do the same in Chaos Realm. Zhon Wushuang, just you wait. Yang Yu's kneeling provoked him. There was no trace of decadence in his eyes. There was only anger and a murderous intent. Seeing Long Fei stand up, Yang Yu's eyes flashed with a trace of bright light. It ignited a strand of hope, but in that instant, this hope was shattered. His current physical condition was such that even a 10-year-old child could push him down, let alone an expert like Sunscorch. Huh! Lai Yang was startled, then looked at Long Fei who stood up and laughed. "Oh, our slaves have stood up, ha ha ha. You want to be a hero again? You dog slave, you can't even stand properly right now, what are you going to use to fight with me? You think it's like last time?" Yang Yu immediately said, "Lai Yang, I promise you everything, I beg you. Please let Long Fei go." "Let him go. Ha ha ha." Lai Yang sneered, "Do you know what I like to do the most? My favorite is to beat a drowning dog. Long Fei, you were defeated by Zhon Wushuang in one move, yet you didn't even dare to admit that she was your fiancée when facing your own woman. What kind of man are you? Your fiancée is about to become a different woman, yet you don't even dare to fart. Are you still human? But that's good too. Zhon Wushuang saved me a lot of trouble. As for you, a drowning dog, I will slowly torture you to death." Lai Yang was a member of the 10,000 Alliance. He knew a lot more than an ordinary person. For example, Shenyuan Li was originally Long Fei's fiancée. However, there were no memories in Long Fei's mind at all. Was it something that happened to him while he was undergoing the heavenly tribulation? Or did he possess a body like he did when he transmigrated? Or could it be He was originally a junior master of the Hellgate, just that. Was there a memory he didn't even know himself? Long Fei couldn't explain it clearly. Hearing Lai Yang say this, his heart tightened and his teeth chattered loudly. Lai Yang laughed contemptuously. The number one beauty in the world, Shenyuan Li if it was me, even if I was useless, I wouldn't be as afraid to admit it like you. Slaves are slaves. Ha ha ha. Lai Yang mocked. The image of Shenyuan Li appeared in Long Fei's mind. She's my fiancé. She's my fiancé. At this moment, Long Fei suddenly exploded, roaring towards the sky. She's my fiancé. Lai Yang laughed coldly, and said, you can't even protect your own woman, she will soon be Zhong Wushuang's woman, and Yang Yu. Hee hee. She's about to become my plaything. Ha ha ha. Long Fei opened his eyes wide, and stared straight at Lai Yang in a daze, and said, you? Lai Yang laughed, that's right, it's me. She will become my plaything. What can you do with your dog-like appearance? Being as bedraggled as a dog. Hit a drowning dog. Let's see who is a drowning dog today. Long Fei's eyes darkened, and he took out the 10 experience elixir from the bounty mission. Chapter 1217, Baron Nasher, spray them to death. Chapter 1217, Baron Nasher, spray them to death. His health point still had a dozen or so points. They were going to run out soon. The value of the holy source was also seriously insufficient. In this situation, he couldn't even use a single cultivation technique. He needed health point, needed to replenish his holy source value, and the best way was to level up. Ding. Experience points plus 1 million points. Ding. Experience points plus 1 million points. The 1 million experience points of experience elixir caused Long Fei to be a little surprised. He never thought that the reward would be so generous. 10 experience elixir were equal to 10 million experience point. Advancing was not a problem. When Long Fei was devouring the experience elixir, Lai Yang sneered and said, swallowing pellets. Wow, I'm so scared. But what's the use? Lai Yang's eyes darkened, and shouted, Long Fei, you lowly slave, what qualifications do you have to fight with me? Ha! As soon as he finished, the voices of all the disciples in Holy Moon sect shook, and the few elders beside him also shouted. Their killing intent filled the entire Yuan Yang clan. Yang Yu's eyes were blurry with tears. She shook her head and said, Long Fei, don't. What kind of pill could heal a person's body in an instant? Furthermore, he had even been severely injured by the Emperor List, powerhouse. Let's take a step back. Even if Long Fei recovered, what use would it be? Was he the opponent of these powerhouses? Was he even a match for these Holy Moon sect disciples? Was he even a match for these Yuan Yang clan disciples? Not at all. Long Fei alone could not do anything. Long Fei did not stop and continued to swallow the pills. Wu Yingliang sneered coldly, and invited him to battle. Lord Lai Yang, this dog slave is at Yuan Yang clan. He wants me to go out and clean up this dog. I will make him kneel down in front of you, kowtow and admit his wrongs. In the past, he was afraid of Long Fei, but now that Long Fei was injured to such an extent, was there a need to be afraid of him? Just like Yang Wonu, he had even stepped on her feet. Lai Yang smiled and said, go. Wu Yingliang laughed excitedly, and said, brat, last time you heavily injured me, this time I want you to kneel on the ground and become a dead dog. Buzz. Releasing his high-level profound rank power, Wu Yingliang took a step forward towards Xiong Longfei, his claws locking down his throat as he shouted, kneel down. Long Fei placed the last pill into his mouth and crushed it. Crack. Ding. Player plus 1 million experience points. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for leveling up. Current level, purple level, second pin, buzz. In that instant, Long Fei's health point was fully recovered and his holy source's worth was fully recovered. The most critical point was that all the wounds on his body were instantly healed, as if he had been resurrected on the spot. He glared at the other party, his gaze filled with a strong sense of brutality. Then, the power of a purple-ranked level 2 cultivator burst out, completely suppressing Wu Yingliang who had charged up, and said coldly, a mere profound ranked trash. You're courting death. The moment Wu Yingliang rushed forward, he flipped his right hand and accurately slapped his face. Pa! A loud explosion resounded. Wu Yingliang laid flat on the ground from the slap, and with a flick of his body, half of his cheeks were ripped apart. The instant his body bounced up, Long Fei's leg that was like a whip suddenly swept down, bang. After being pressed on the ground by Long Fei, all of his internal organs ruptured, and black blood unceasingly surged out of Wu Yingliang's mouth, not waiting for him to let out a blood-curdling screech. Long Fei's right foot shook, heavily stomping on Wu Yingliang's head. Catcher, headshot. Blood flowed all over the ground. His entire person had no signs of life, so Long Fei's gaze swept across the entire hall, looking extremely gloomy and cold. One slap, one kick, and one stomp. Profound grade 9 Wu Yingliang, dead. His speed was extremely fast. Everyone's expression changed drastically as they were completely suppressed by Long Fei in the last 3 moves. Long Fei said, "You want to beat the crap out of me? Come and fight now." His voice was ice-cold and extremely arrogant. Lai Yang's gaze tensed up. He did not know why Long Fei's power suddenly increased so much. Why did he do this? At this moment, an old man whispered into Lai Yang's ear. Lai Yang's eyes turned vicious. Purple rank level 2. Lai Yang sneered, "Dog slave, even if you did break through, what can you do? Today, I'm definitely going to kill you, a drowning dog. Someone, come, charge." At the same time, a few elders of the Yuanyang clan shouted, "Let's attack together and kill him." Long Fei not dying was a disaster for the Yuanyang clan. With his personality, he would definitely come back for revenge. Furthermore, he should try his best to curry favor with Lai Yang at this time. A few elders rushed forward. Several Holy Moon sect disciples behind Lai Yang also rushed forward. Long Fei moved his right hand and shouted, "Xiu Luo machete." Boom. A mountain-splitting knife with a skull blade hilt fell into Long Fei's hands, transforming into a blade technique that was used to fight against 4 blades. Shua. Mountain-splitting knife. Cleave the mountain open with one saber strike. When the knife cut down, Long Fei did not even look twice, because there was already a corpse behind him. One rushed forward, one died. The 4 slashes of the blood battlefield combined with the violent and bloodthirsty killing intent coming from Long Fei's body made him look like a berserk demon. Arrogant beyond compare. Come again. Come with me again. Long Fei raged as he frantically waved the mountain-splitting knife in his hand. However, there was only one Long Fei and there were hundreds of people here. In the blink of an eye, he was surrounded by a large group of people who were frantically killing people. "Let's see how long you can hold on for. Ha ha ha." He was not the least bit worried, walked to Yang Yu's side, and disdainfully said, "Did you see that? Trash is trash, trying to kill thousands of people just by yourself. If this isn't a brain damaged, then what is? Little junior sister is about to die." Rumble. Golden cudgel. The mountain-splitting knife was no longer able to unleash its power. Long Fei moved and summoned his golden cudgel. They continued to slaughter as fast as they could. Long Fei didn't think about anything else at the moment. He only thought of one thing. The golden cudgel in his hands continued to torture and kill. However, more and more people rushed forward. Half a minute later, Long Fei was surrounded once again. At this moment, the disciples of the Holy Moon Sect S and Yuanyang Clan S had all gathered at the martial arts arena S. There were a few thousand disciples gathered as Long Fei smiled sinisterly. Lai Yang disdainfully said, "Can you still laugh now? Humph. Long Fei, you're going to die soon." Long Fei's consumption of holy sauce was just too fast. If a person did not have the support of the holy sauce, then that warrior would be crippled. However, Long Fei suddenly retracted his golden cudgel and stood in place without moving. Everyone was looking at him, but they suddenly stopped as if they were not used to it. Long Fei grinned and laughed coldly, "All of you must die. Abnormal level. Baron Nasher, spray them to death." Chapter 12:18, The Extermination of the Great Dragon Sect. Chapter 12:18, The Extermination of the Great Dragon Sect. Dalong. Dalong of the League of Heroes. Baron Nashor. However, the dragon that Long Fei summoned was not an ordinary dragon, but a level 500 abnormal dragon. This was a super monster that he exploded with his level 5 striking energy value. What dragon? What Baron Nashor? Is this person crazy? Who are you trying to scare? Brat, you're dead today. Kill. Lai Yang also laughed and said, he's already talking nonsense, ha ha ha. Long Fei moved. A surge of energy within his body was activated. In that instant, the ground caved in, and a deep hole appeared. Long Fei fell down, and before anyone could react, an incomparably savage monster drilled out from the deep hole. 9 heads. It wasn't a 9-headed dragon from the west, nor was it a dragon from the eastern world. It was an independent existence, and it was incomparably ugly. Its entire body was emitting an abnormal strength. What is this? Everyone's expression changed drastically. Monster. Monster. What is this? Lai Yang's complexion also changed. He looked towards the few elders who shook their heads, indicating that they had never seen one before. It was also at this time. The few clan elders moved in the air and pointed their swords at Long Fei. It was Long Fei who had summoned this monster. If he killed Long Fei, then everything would be fine. Long Fei stood on the dragon head in the middle, looked at the people who charged towards him, and coldly laughed. Kill them all for me. Rumble. The idea moved. Abnormal level Baron Nashor started attacking crazily. Its mouth was spewing out the power of all kinds of elements. It could be venom, or flames, or even an ice sword. An elder fell from the sky. His body was corroded, and in just a few seconds, his body turned into a puddle of blood. Not even bone fragments were left behind. The poison's damage was shocking. Then, another elder fell down. His entire body was frozen. The moment he fell from the sky, his body was torn to shreds. Yet another elder was reduced to smithereens. A few powerful elders beside Lai Yang were killed before they could even get close to the Baron Nashor. This was a powerful explosion. Abnormal level, that's abnormal level. Lai Yang's face turned pale. He let out a loud roar and said, "Kill, everyone attack." Long Fei looked at the disciples gathered at the bottom of the Baron's foot and laughed coldly. His ideas were connected to the Baron Nashor's as he said, "Let's slaughter them crazily. Turn this place into a world of blood. Kill." The Baron Nashor began to attack ferociously. Its speed was similar to when it carried 6 red crosses. It exploded on the surface, and each time was a critical strike. Rumble. 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 People kept getting closer and people kept dying. In just a few minutes, even the death gods were afraid, and death loomed over the entire Yuanyang clan. Within 1,000 meters, other than Long Fei himself, all living things would die. A building is a building. A tree was a tree. If one was hit by it, it would be destroyed. A level 500 monster, slaughtering everything. Come on. Hit a drowning dog. Who's the fucking drowning dog now? Long Fei clamored and vented his anger. The killing intent in his heart was unleashed crazily. Only his blood would be able to calm his killing intent, and only death would be able to calm him down. The entire Yuanyang clan started crying. "Master Long Fei, we are innocent. Please spare my life, Master Long Fei. We are the disciples of the Yuanyang clan, we are." Disciple of the Yuanyang clan? Wasn't it very loud in the beginning, and wasn't it trying to kill me? Now you're scared. If you want to live, you can even give up on your ancestors. All of you must die. Long Fei did not let any of them go. He could see everything that happened in front of him. Yang Wonu had been stomped on, and no one came out to speak up for him. Everyone wanted to step on him. Since that was the case, why should he let these people go? All must die. Moreover, he needed experience to level up and energy values to become berserk. Then he had to kill. No one can escape. The Baron Nashor massacred frantically. Wherever Long Fei's idea went, he would attack. In just a few short minutes, large groups of disciples fell to the ground. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for leveling up. Current level, purple level, 3. It leveled up. Level 1 in a few minutes. Lousy has the system, who does Lousy need to be afraid of? Zhon Wushuang. Emperor list. Everyone, wait. Long Fei's gaze was like a god. He roared in his heart. A few minutes later, when the Baron Nashor crawled back into the cave, Long Fei dropped to the ground from the high altitude. He landed beside the shivering fiery blaze. Long Fei laughed coldly. Who is a drowning dog? Lai Yang was scared silly. He almost peed his pants and said, I'm a drowning dog, I'm a drowning dog. Plop. Lai Yang heavily knelt on the ground and kowtowed to Long Fei. Please spare my life, spare my life. I will never provoke you again, absolutely not. Yang Yu is yours, I definitely won't peng. Little junior sister, please beg for me. Please. Lai Yang was extremely scared. If it was the last time he'd been just a little scared. Then now. His tongue trembled in fear. Seeing that Long Fei was even more afraid than the god of death, Lai Yang said, Long Fei, as long as you spare me, I swear to God, the Myriad Alliance will not find trouble with you, absolutely not. Long Fei said, then I'm really sorry, if the Myriad Alliance does not find trouble with me, I will find trouble with him. The Myriad Alliance has angered me. I'll definitely overturn him. I'll start with you. Lai Yang trembled and said, you can't kill me, you can't kill me, I am from the 10,000 Alliance sect, if you kill me, you will be endlessly hunted down by the sect, and you won't be able to live either. Yang Yu looked at Long Fei, and said, Long Fei, he's right. Yang Wanu followed, Long Fei, the power of the Myriad Alliance. The power of the 1000 Alliance sect was not much weaker than the Hellgate, and there were also powerhouses of Emperor list in the 1000 Alliance sect, and even the sect master of the Son of God ranking was a super powerhouse. It was not a wise choice to provoke the sect. Lai Yang immediately said, Long Fei, you heard it. The power of the 10,000 Alliance is so great that you can't imagine it. If you kill me, you. Without waiting for him to finish trembling, Long Fei's right hand fell, the mountain-splitting knife moved, and chopped down. So what if you're from the 1000 Alliance? This old man will still kill you. Crack. A bloody wound appeared on Lai Yang's forehead, and his head was split open. Staring at Long Fei, he had no time to react at all. Long Fei's heart shook, and he said faintly, Lai Yang, explode for me. Let's see what you can get out of your sect. Release the 3-rate rampage. Ding. Chapter 1219, Special Holy Artifact, 3 Great Rings. Chapter 1219, Special Holy Artifact, 3 Great Rings. Even the gods would die if they came. So what if they are? Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing Lai Yang for obtaining 2000 experience, 300 holy source and 10 energy values. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining the Sea King ring. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Glazed Divine Bead. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Immortal Spirit Grass. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining 3 Shen Crystal. Congratulations, player. Fiery Blaze was not a boss. However, he had dropped many things, and they were all not ordinary items. Some of them were extremely high quality, and when they reached the holy artifact level, the reason why they were dropped was because of his identity. He was the official disciple of the Myriad Alliance. If one was so rich that they could flow with oil, it was natural that they would explode. Long Fei was secretly shocked, but this was just an appetizer, the main event was yet to come, and striking energy value had yet to explode. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for using the 3-rate rampage, please choose. This time, Long Fei did not hesitate and directly said, Gaming series. He was a game expert, and was the most familiar with the game amongst the series. As long as he could drop the holy artifact in the game, nothing would be a problem. He could easily control it. Long Fei made a choice. The system was silent for half a second before it made a notification sound. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining the special storage ring. What's going on? Special ring bag. Gudong. Long Fei swallowed his saliva. I know that there are special rings, and every game has a special ring. Paralyzed ring S must be there, such as the Spirit Spring ring, such as the protective ring, or something like that. Resurrection ring, healing ring, flame ring. These are all special rings. What's a special ring bag? Could it be that there are 3 holy artifacts inside? Gudong. Long Fei once again swallowed his breath. Phew. My little heart can't take it. The idea moved. Long Fei clicked it and opened the special ring packet. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining body protection ring. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining paralyzed ring. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining resurrection ring. Stunned. He was completely stupefied. Long Fei's eyes were lifeless. He was so shocked that he looked like an idiot. Both his eyes were unmoving as he muttered in his heart, "Damn it, damn it, damn it." He had already found the word to describe his current mood. He was completely stupefied. What is a paralyzed ring? Ring, paralyzed ring, upgradable, rank, special holy artifact attributes, triggers the effects of paralysis, can cause the opponent to be stunned for a short period of time, time cannot be determined. If one had the stun effect, then in a battle between experts, let alone 1 second, even a 1/10 of a second of paralysis would be enough to kill one. Ring, protective ring, upgradable, rank, special holy artifact attribute, convert holy source into health point, indestructible, will not die. If others wanted to kill him, the damage would be borne by the holy source value. If the holy source value was not extinguished, the health point would not be affected at all, which also means that if the holy source value was sufficient, Long Fei would not die. What defying defense! Compared to the protective ring, he was just a weakling. Ring, resurrection ring, upgradable, rank, special holy artifact durability, 5/5 description, health point vanishes, resurrection, only health point can be provided for resurrecting, can be used 5 times. Resurrection ring were used for revival. Special holy artifact S, 3 big rings. These 3 rings originated from the same type of game, Hot-Blooded Legend. The legendary holy artifact S. He was an indestructible existence. Long Fei never thought that he would actually reveal such a flashy holy artifact, and even 3 special rings at the same time. Zhon Wushuang. Just you wait. In that instant, Long Fei was extremely ambitious. The aura which had originally been crushed by Zhon Wushuang, the mind that was shattered into pieces, instantly disappeared, and what replaced it was savageness. The Emperor list is impressive, right? Wait. The 3 big rings gave him confidence. With these 3 rings, he would definitely be able to defy the heavens. Legend of the Blood was the first game to come into contact with and the one he was the most familiar with. However, he had never received any special rings before. Now that the 3 special rings were in his possession, Long Fei's confidence was bursting. Seeing Long Fei's red and excited face, Yang Yu and his father were both dumbfounded. So excited about killing Lai Yang? It was also at this time. Niu Dashan shook his head as he woke up. Seeing that the entire Yuanyang clan was in a mess and the entire place was filled with corpses, his eyes darkened. He immediately shouted, "Boss! What happened here?" Looking at the nearby Long Fei, he let out a small sigh of relief. He plopped down on the ground and laughed, muttering, "I knew boss wouldn't die that easily, ha ha ha. I knew it." The scene was too bloody. However, Niu Dashan was happy to be alive. For Niu Dashan to be alive, he couldn't help but laugh excitedly. At this moment, the fire unicorn rose into the air, flames shooting towards the sky as it shouted, "Master!" Fire unicorn was strong. However, facing the powerhouse on the Emperor list, even his strength was insufficient. After all, he was still a young beast and had not completely activated it yet. Looking at Long Fei on the ground, the fire unicorn heaved a sigh of relief. Yang Wanu looked at Long Fei and said, "Yuanyang clan has been annihilated, and the people from Hellgate seem to have left, but they will definitely not let you go, and once today's matter gets out, the people from Hellgate will definitely not let you off. They will definitely not let you rise again. And then there is the Million Straight sect. As far as I know, Lai Yang is the nephew of the leader of the Alliance. Even if you kill him, the Alliance sect will not let you go." Long Fei grinned and laughed, They have already made their move against me. Bounty Gate's people have already found me, however. I killed them all. Bounty Gate. Young Wanu's face sank. Bounty Gate is also extremely powerful. The three great forces have all arrived. Then there's no place for us in the Chaos Realm to stand on. Long Fei laughed. It's not that we don't have a place to stand, it's just that they don't. Next. Overturn the Holomoon sect. Young Wanu and Yang Yu trembled as they looked at Long Fei with their mouths agape. Long Fei took a month to reach level 5 Berserk. He only used a few minutes to use the dragon to attack the 3-rate rampage. How big of a difference was this? Since the Holomoon sect had provoked him, they would pay the price of death. The Chaos Realm was even more cruel than the God's Martial Continent. If Long Fei wanted to establish himself here, he would have to fight his way out. He had to establish his own power, and for that, he would plunder like a madman. Because he wanted to find a way to make his God's Martial sect work. Because there is a sect teleportation in the God's Martial sect, he wants to summon all the people from the God's Martial sect to the Chaos Realm. Chapter 1220, Opening the Strength of the Main Artifact Level 2. Chapter 1220, Opening the Strength of the Main Artifact Level 2 from the God's Martial Continent to the Chaos Realm. Long Fei did not bring many things. He had brought the God's Martial sect gang over. However, did not know how to activate it during the seal phase, but he believed that there would definitely be a way to open it. He wanted to bring all the members of the gang to Chaos Realm. He wanted to compete for hegemony in the Chaos Realm. He needed his own power. Hellgate, Bounty Gate, Myriad Alliance Sect. These were all existences that were as huge as giants, and were untouchable to Long Fei alone. He needed help. He wanted to find the Yang Huang ancestor. He wanted to find the Beeman. He wanted to find the 8 King Kong. It was very difficult to find them. The Chaos Realm was too big, but there was one way that was very quick, famous. Shocking Chaos Realm. Let the two words Long Fei shake the world, so that they will naturally know where they are. This is the most direct and fastest way. He rested for a while in the Yuan Yang clan. Long Fei placed the 3 big rings on his finger, and then exchanged the items that he had taken out from Lai Yang's body for points. Then he traded a destiny pill for Yang Yu's points. He didn't say that he was looking for an antidote. The 7-star herber had not found the antidote and was unable to refine it. However, this mission only had a little more than 3 months left. Yang Yu was secretly touched. Yang Wanu said, "It's not good to stay here any longer. Since you've already made your plans, let's leave this place." Niu Dashan and the fire unicorn walked over to look at Long Fei. Long Fei also wanted to leave quickly, but just as he was about to leave, he suddenly thought of something. I still have one thing to do. The mission that Zhu Tianquan gave him. The mission was destined to fail. There were no punishments for failing this mission, and Long Fei did not think much of it. But what was in the ring? Long Fei took out the space ring and looked at Yang Wanu. "Uncle Yang, do you know what is hidden in this space ring?" Yang Wanu did not eat much. He already knew that Zhu Tianquan's space ring was in Long Fei's hands. He only shook his head and said, "I only know that it is an ancient spiritual treasure." Ancient spiritual treasure? Long Fei slightly repeated, "Why is the Hell Gate collecting ancient spiritual treasure everywhere? Could it be?" Long Fei suddenly thought of the defensive main artifact on Zhong Wushuang's body. Since he actually knew about the filling of energy, then his defensive main artifact must be like that as well. Could it be that his defensive main artifact could only use ancient spiritual treasure to replenish his energy? And then Long Fei moved and released the sect master's mark on the space ring. Ding! The seal will activate the ring. Long Fei's idea also entered the center of the space ring. In the empty space inside the space ring, there was only one thing, an item Long Fei had never seen before. However, at this moment, without waiting for Long Fei to see its attributes, the system suddenly chimed in. Ding! Activating the activation condition for the second stage of the main artifact. Do you want to absorb the ancient spiritual treasure? Heh! The condition to activate the second stage of main artifact's power became anxious. Golden Cudgel looked like it was evolved at the second level, but what was its power? Long Fei still did not know. He only knew that it was possible that the golden cudgel could hide a monkey, and that this monkey could possibly be the power of the second layer. Long Fei was not clear. Now that the activation criteria was revealed, Long Fei was extremely excited in his heart. Absorb. Ding. Energy filling. The first layer is complete. Ancient spiritual treasure. It means that he needs ancient spiritual treasure to fill his body with energy. Zhong Wushuang's defensive main artifact is 1, and this golden cudgel of his is the same. Long Fei clenched his fists. Dragon coffins are only the energy released by the god's martial continent, and the level of the domain treasure is very low, so it is unable to lock onto Zhong Wushuang, who possesses the defense main artifact. If the second stage is activated, then... Long Fei laughed sinisterly. Zhong Wushuang, wash your ass and wait for me. Ha ha ha. If it was a competition between main artifact of the same strength, what would the situation be? This time, I don't believe I can't kill you. Long Fei's gaze tensed up, and he immediately said, let's go. Bounty Gate. Failure of the mission. This is the shame of the Bounty Gate. This is the first time. Elder, it's because he's a junior master of the Hellgate, his power has awakened, and he also has a fire unicorn. That's why we were caught unprepared, otherwise. Don't give me any reasons. Failure is failure. No matter how many reasons you have failed. Yes, sir. The hall was silent for a moment. Following that, a voice sounded in the hall. The bounty has been raised tenfold. Long Fei must die. In the main hall, everyone kneeled down and said, as you command. This was the voice of the vice sect leader. The top 10 super powerhouse of Bounty Gate strength, and also ranked on the Emperor's ranking. The sound disappeared. The elder stood up, and the space between his eyebrows twitched. The bounty was increased tenfold in just a few days, 100,000 Shen crystal. This is the first time in history. Elder, leave this mission to me. I will definitely bring back his head. 100,000 Shen crystal S. Do you want to take it all on your own? The elder was silent for a moment, then said, if you do not move, immediately investigate everything about Long Fei, his current position, cultivation strength, and the power awakened in his body. This time, we definitely can't fail again. He absolutely could not tolerate failure. No matter who the other party was, since the Bounty Gate has accepted this mission, no matter how difficult it is, he will definitely complete it. In another place. Heavenly Alliance City, the location of the Myriad Alliance School. Does Hellgate want to start a war with my 10,000 Alliance? Alliance Master, no matter how much trouble Lai Yang has, he is still a member of our 1000 Alliance sect. Although Long Fei is not a member of the Hellgate, but he killed Lai Yang, so it should not be so simple. Since he is no longer a member of the Hellgate, then we do not need to worry about anything else and must go all out to kill him. Half a month later, Long Fei and his group of 4 walked out of the Yuan Yang clan's territory and entered the domain of the Holy Moon sect. The Holy Moon sect was much more powerful than the Yuan Yang clan. On the way to Holy Moon sect, he passed by a place called Lian Yu Castle. Ha ha ha. This is great. This time we've robbed the town's auction house, so we won't have to worry about food and drinks for half a year. Li Yuanbar was grinning from ear to ear. Looking at the various spirit treasures, he was extremely happy. The heavenly spirit gave him a disdainful look, saying, Brother Yuan Ba, just that little bit of luck. What good stuff does the town's auction house have? If you want to make it big, then do it. I am preparing to rob Lian Yu Castle's auction house. I heard that there is a big auction going on. Chapter 1221, 9 Yang Divine Technique. Chapter 1221, 9 Yang Divine Technique. Lian Yu Castle, a very important city next to the Holy Moon sect. The city is a fortress. It could lead to the great desolate mountain ranges, but it could also lead to the Ghost's Cave, which was also one of the main routes leading to the Myriad Alliance sect. The Lian Yu Castle was also the main city of the Holy Moon sect, and its disciples could be seen on the streets. Their might was extraordinary, and they were full of admiration and respect wherever they went. They absolutely did not dare to be the slightest bit slow. If only I could also become a disciple of the Holy Moon sect. When I grow up, I want to become a powerhouse of the Holomoon sect. A 3 or 2-year-old child had a face full of envy. For a young martial artist, their eyes were burning with passion. It was different from usual. During this period of time, the number of disciples in Lianyu Castle had doubled, and there were also many elders. Other than these, there were also wealthy merchants, various rogue cultivators, and people in charge of high-ranking families. This was because there were only 3 days left before a large-scale auction. They were all rare treasures, spiritual pills and miraculous medicines, as well as various secret world tunnels, ancient scrolls, and some mysterious and special items. Every one of them had a strong allure. This year's Lianyu Castle auction could be said to be a strong gathering. The Lianyu Castle was bustling with noise and excitement. So lively. It's much more lively than the Water City, was slightly shocked when he walked into the Lianyu Castle. Whether it was in terms of size or number of people, they were all over 10 times more than the number of people in the Water City. Young Wonu slightly said, Holomoon sect is the #1 city, left connected to the Great Desolate Mountain Range, right connected to the Ghost's Cave, and is even one of the main roads leading to the Myriad Alliance sect. Naturally, it's extremely lively. Long Fei asked, how far is this place from Holomoon sect? Young Wonu said slightly, Lianyu Castle and Holomoon sect are still quite a distance away. If we go there, I think it'll take around a month. That far? Long Fei's heart trembled as he thought to himself, it would be great if there was a plane in this world. Fire Unicorn could only sit on 2 people at most. For normal paths, Long Fei could only use his feet to walk, and this half a month, he almost broke his skin. Mecha series? Next time, should I choose a mech series? It would be nice if I could get a flying machine. Long Fei muttered. At the same time, the city gate was now covered with auction brochures. There are only 3 days left before the auction. I heard that there are a lot of good things this time. I have an uncle who works in the auction. Other than many spiritual treasures, elixirs and medicine, there are also the legendary spirit grass. The most important thing is, the man pretended to be mysterious and spoke in a low voice, there is also a volume question of God, this is the finale. Volume question of God? What is a volume question of God? I only know that the Chaos Realm has a spirit pagoda, but I've never heard of a volume question of God. The so-called volume question of God is the ancient secret world. The ancient secret world that leads to the God Realm. Whoever obtains it can go to the God Realm and maybe bring back a few divine sparks. That way, they will be invincible. The surrounding taverns and roadside tea shops were all discussing the auction. Yang Yu walked over with a flyer, and said, there are a lot of things here, spirit treasures at level 9 and above, and also some mysterious giant treasures. There's even a legendary spirit grass here. Long Fei was startled, and casually asked, what spirit grass? Yang Yu said, on top of it is written 7-star herba. I have read about this 7-star herba in ancient books, it has a deep hole in it, and it needs the power of the stars to grow. Only after dozens of years does it grow into a plant. It is a type of legendary spirit grass that can only be encountered by luck but not sought after. 7-star herba? Long Fei's heart instantly tightened. The antidote he wanted to refine was missing the 7-star herba. Nyo Dasan also walked up and said, Boss, there's another ancient ability called the 9 Young Divine Technique on this flyer. At this moment, Long Fei could no longer walk 7-star herba, 9 Young Divine Technique. Long Fei was wild with excitement, and thought to himself, these are all good stuff. Yang Yu said, Long Fei, why don't we rest here for a while? Let's go take a look at the auction as well. Yang Wonu said, this is Myriad Alliance's territory, and also in Holomoon sect, I'm worried. Long Fei said, since you have caught up, we will naturally go take a look at this auction. Uncle Yang, you will be responsible for finding out more about the auction, as well as the approximate price of the spirit treasures, the buyers at the auction, especially ask me who are the buyers at 7-star herba, and how much will the prices be. He needed the 7-star herba. He had to have a 7-star herba in order to complete Yang Yu's mission. Since Long Fei had made a decision, Yang Wonu did not say much and replied, all right. They entered the Lianyu Castle and stayed at an inn. From the looks of it, they should be participating in the auction. All right. Continue watching. This auction might be a good opportunity. In the dark, the two figures flashed and disappeared. Bounty Gates Huntress. Also, the moment Long Fei entered the Lianyu Castle, the people from the Thousand Alliance sect knew. Brat, there's a path to heaven, yet you refuse to walk it. Hell has no doors, yet you came to throw your weight around. This time, you're dead. Heh. In front of us is the Lianyu Castle. Qianling, when are you going to make your move? The Black Knife asked. He wasn't sure. This was because Lianyu Castle was not a small village or small town. The auction this time was even more huge, and there were definitely a lot of powerhouse among the buyers. Their defensive measures must be very strict. The fat man Chen looked wretched as he said, Uncle Black Knife, don't worry, after we finish snatching the items out from this auction, we won't have to worry about the rest of our lives. Snat. We have to rob them. Descending Dragons looked excited. Aoya held her sword with both hands with a calm expression. She didn't express any opinions. As the only female in the 8 King Kong, she listened to them in many ways, cutting them off and settling their troubles. As for other matters, she rarely participated in them. Lin Yusheng slightly said, to rob you, you must have a plan as well, right? What is our plan? Everyone looked at the Sky Soul. Even though he was the lowest level of heavenly spirit, he was also the most devilish. The heavenly spirit laughed. The way to do it is. It's very simple. Yuan Ba, Fat Men Chen, Aoya, Descending Dragon, the 4 of you think of ways to sneak into the auction house and become its staff. The remaining 4 of us will make ourselves look like buyers. We don't need to take anything else but the last giant treasure volume question of God. The Holy Spirit had thought of everything. When the time comes, we'll cause chaos. You guys can do it. Take it and run. Who can catch up? Ha ha ha. The celestial spirit smiled. However, is it that simple? Not long after, the 8 King Kong entered the city. The 8 of them were like 8 bandits. Of course. They are bandits, coming down to cause trouble. Chapter 1222 Invitation Card Storms. Chapter 1222 Invitation Card Storms. Young Wonu was very fast. It only took him half a day to figure it out. Back at the inn, young Wonu told him everything that Long Fei wanted him to know in detail, and said, there are many buyers in 7-star Herba. This legendary spirit grass has the mystical ability to clear up blood vein, and I heard that it can even set the level increase of the blood vein in your body. What do you want to buy this spirit grass for? Long Fei did not say it out loud, and said, I need this spirit grass. The spirit grass got it and refined the antidote. Whether or not the antidote was successful, even Long Fei himself did not dare to guarantee. If he were to say it now, it would give young Wonu and young Yu pressure, so he might as well not say it. Young Wonu said, I have roughly estimated, if you want to buy this spirit grass, you will need to spend 500 Shen crystals worth. How much? Niu Dashan was shocked, and said, 500 Shen crystal? That much money is enough for me to spend for 10 lifetimes. Isn't that too scary? Young Wonu said, this is only my conservative estimate. As he spoke, his gaze could not help but look at Xiong Longfei. Long Fei also frowned. He did not have that much money on him. The price of the 9 Young Divine Technique was even higher than the 7-star Herba, so to buy these 2 items, he would need to prepare at least 2,000 Shen crystal. Niu Dashan said, since it's so expensive, we might as well go snatch it. Snatch? Long Fei's eyes lit up. Young Wonu immediately said, this auction is organized by the Xiao Yarrow Business Alliance, its defense level is the highest, there are Sun rank and Moon rank super powerhouse S-guards, if anyone wants to snatch it, it's basically a dead end, it's impossible for it to succeed. Hope was shattered. Just like what young Wonu had said, how could the auction houses be so easy to snatch? Niu Dashan said, if we can't steal from the auction house, then we will rob the buyers. Whoever buys what we want will get it. Niu Dashan was a barbarian. He would only have the most brutal way to solve the problem. Young Wonu slightly said, Xiao Yarrow Business Alliance will provide protection, even if we want to rob the buyers, it will be extremely difficult, moreover. Now, We don't even have invitation card and can't even enter the auction. Nyo Dashan instantly sagged, and said, then what the F***K are you still doing? The security was tight, it was impossible to rob. Long Fei was clear of this point. However, the fact that he had to obtain the 7-star herba was determined by whether or not he could complete the mission, and even more so, whether or not he could cure Yang Yu's illness. No matter what price he had to pay, Long Fei was determined to get it. Following that, Long Fei said, come, let's go to the auction house to take a look. To enter the auction house, one must have an invitation card. The number of invitation card was limited, and a portion of it was an invitation from the Xiao Yarrow Business Alliance. Someone with noble status could obtain them for free, so this kind of invitation card was of a very high level. There was a VIP box and the seats were in front. There were also a few invitation card that were sold as normal invitation card. In less than half a day, the Xiao Yarrow Business Alliance's auction house was emptied. At the entrance of Xiao Yarrow Business Alliance branch. I'm here to buy the invitation card. How did you do your business? The invitation card was sold out so quickly. Do you know who I am? There were a lot of people gathered at the gate. They had all come for the invitation card, and now every single one of them on the black market was priced at 100,000 gold. It could be said to be ridiculously expensive. One of the stewards of the Xiao Yarrow Business Alliance had a smile on his face. No matter what ugly words he heard, he had a smile on his face and said, everyone, I'm sorry. Bullshit. How can it not be? You must have kept quite a few invitation card, even fools would know. Don't fool us. I want one. The price is up to you. Long Fei and the other three stood at the back of the crowd, looking at the packed crowd. They said, looks like it's really hard to find invitation cards that are worth 1,000 gold. At this moment, a palanquin quickly flew over from the street. The four of them moved as if they were flying. Their steps were as if they were flying on the ground, not even touching the ground. The cultivation of these four people were extraordinary. His strength is at least at the spiritual level. Those who lift their feet are all at the spirit level, then the person sitting inside must be even stronger. Wherever the four of them went, a powerful pressuring aura would form and directly push away the people on both sides of the street. Get out of my way. Buzz. Buzz. Yang Yu just happened to be very close to the proud sun, and a strong pressure pressed down on her. Her face instantly turned pale white, and revealed a painful expression. Long Fei felt pain in his heart, and between his eyebrows, he was enraged. Both legs moved, wind god leg. Bang, bang, bang. A series of explosions occurred as he sent out a kick. The body of one of the sedan bearers tilted slightly as his eyes burned with anger. He hollered, insolent child, you're courting death. His aura exploded. Boom. A strong chi formed a pressure. The pressure of the spirit-level realm formed a strong impact that directly forced Xiong Longfei to submit. Everyone's face changed. This person is dead for sure. A proud son of the young master of martial prowess mansion dares to go against us. Is this man a retard? He's simply courting death. At this moment, the King Bull's blood in Nyo Dashan's body exploded and blocked the attack. Demon Ox King Phantom Shadow appeared. Buzz. It directly blocked the shockwave of his aura. However, the pressure of the other three people was released at the same time, pressing down heavily on him. Poochie. Yang Yu was simply unable to endure it any longer, as he spat out a mouthful of fresh blood. His entire body was trembling, and the fury in his heart grew even stronger. Suckstar over China. Boom, boom, boom. One of the carriage bearers did not expect Long Fei to possess such a strong power of the blood vein. Before he could defend, the power in his body was quickly absorbed. In the end, he struggled with all his might to escape. After absorbing the energy, he had to release it. With a flip of his body, the power in his palm directly exploded outwards. Rumble. At this moment, the other three sedan bearers were sent flying. The proud sun landed heavily on the ground, motionless. The surrounding people were all dumbfounded. The four carriage bearers' faces were filled with anger as they stared at Long Fei and bellowed, "You're courting death." With the four of them retracted their pressure, Yang Yu's face regained its rosiness. Long Fei stared at the four of them and said, "You want to die? Then come at me." Long Fei was really not afraid of anything. So what if he was in the spirit level realm? The four of them flew into a rage and charged at the same time. At this moment, the insolence on top of the unfilial sun lifted up slightly, just in time to see Yang Yu. Amongst the unrestrained sun, his eyes flashed with a trace of amazement, and he said faintly, "Wait." The four of them immediately stopped. A young man stepped out of his pride. The four sedan bearers immediately knelt on the ground, not daring to move. The man didn't even look at the four of them, but directly walked to Yang Yu's side and directly grabbed onto Yang Yu's small hand, revealing a gentle smile. "Beautiful girl, are you injured?" Chapter 1223, Paralysis. Chapter 1223, Paralysis. Yang Yu retracted his hand, and slightly moved his body, saying, "I'm fine." She subconsciously got closer to Xiong Longfei. This was because Long Fei could give her a sense of security. Long Fei said, "It's not good to just barge into and injure people." The man raised his eyes slightly, and his expression almost changed in an instant. He sneered and said, "Who do you think you are, daring to criticize me?" The four servants immediately ran over. Long Fei frowned, and immediately pulled his hand. The man looked at Yang Yu again, and said directly, "From this moment onwards, you will be this young master's woman, and no one will dare to do anything to you." Very wild. It was extremely savage. Moreover, he was very confident. In Lianyu Castle, no one dared to reject him, and in terms of women, he was even more confident. With his handsome appearance, outstanding talent, and power, all of the women here in Lianyu Castle wished to marry him, because he was the king. However, Yang Yu said angrily, "I do not know you, and will not become your woman." Her young master of martial prowess mansion's eyes darkened, his face became displeased. "No one dares to reject the woman that my young master of martial prowess mansion has set his eyes on. You are the first. He has a personality. I like him. So, you must be my woman." Young master of martial prowess mansion laughed even more complacently. He was not angry because of Yang Yu's rejection, but was instead happy. Now that he finally met a woman who dared to oppose him, he naturally felt a sense of novelty. Nyo Dashan bellowed, "Brat, is there something wrong with your head? He's my boss's woman. Didn't you understand when he said he didn't like you? Who do you think you are?" The corner of young master of martial prowess mansion's eyes shot a cold glance as he said disdainfully. Nyo Dashan said angrily, "I am your ancestor. How dare you?" The four sedan bearers shouted at the same time. The four of them attacked Nyo Dashan at the same time. Nyo Dashan was not afraid, and shouted, "Is the spirit level powerful? Do I have to be afraid of you?" He stepped forward to welcome them. At this moment, an old man walked out from the entrance of Xiao Yarrow Business Alliance. In a second, the old man was still far away, but in the next second, he landed beside young master of martial prowess mansion. While they were talking, his eyes glanced at Long Fei. There was something very special in his eyes. Young master of martial prowess mansion raised his hand. "Stop." The four of them stopped. Young master of martial prowess mansion slightly said, "Elder Chu, I will give you face today, but I want this guy to apologize to me. In Lianyu Castle, no one dares to contradict my proud son." Nyo Dashan said angrily, "The ones apologizing should be you guys, running rampant on the streets. You think this is your home?" Young master of martial prowess mansion's gaze turned cold. "Do you think you have the right to speak here?" A strong sense of pressure could be seen in his eyes. Nyo Dashan's body suddenly sank, his face turned white, and became unusually ugly. Long Fei was furious. With a sudden movement of his body, the idea connected to the paralyzed ring, and threw it out in one move. Suddenly, Chu Changkong's footsteps moved, and used one hand to block Long Fei's attack. When Long Fei's attack was blocked, both of Chu Changkong's eyes sunk and his entire body sunk into a paralyzed state. It was as if his body was petrified and he felt very uncomfortable. The young master of martial prowess mansion's eyes revealed a vicious light as he disdainfully sneered, "You're courting death." Boom. With one palm pressed against Long Fei's chest, a powerful force emerged from the center of his palm. Bam! With a lock on the center of Long Fei's brows, the idea activated the protective ring and his health point was not threatened in the slightest. His holy source value dropped by more than 10,000 points. However, Long Fei's body did not move. Since his health point had not been harmed, his body would not feel any pain, and naturally, he would not retreat half a step. Young Master of Martial Prowess Mansion's expression secretly changed as he thought in his heart, what kind of defense is this? Long Fei moved his right fist and attacked again. Chu Changkong was paralyzed for half a second, his body recovered and blocked once again, saying, "Stop." In that instant, his body once again fell into a state of paralysis. After triggering the paralyzing effect with 2 consecutive blows, his whole body felt unspeakably uncomfortable. Young Master of Martial Prowess Mansion was also furious. "You still dare to be arrogant? I want to see how long you can hold on for." Another heavy palm struck. Rumble. The powerful force exploded in Long Fei's chest, causing over 30,000 holy source points to disappear. This kind of damage was simply a critical hit. If it were the consumption of health point, Long Fei would already be dead. Young Master of Martial Prowess Mansion's cultivation was very strong. However, when he encountered the perverted Long Fei who possessed 3 special rings, his strength was like a clay ox entering the ocean, and there was no reaction at all. Long Fei stood in place unharmed. The surrounding people were all dumbfounded. His strength clearly hit his body, but why is there no reaction at all? What the hell? Illusion, it's all an illusion, the existence of the young Master of Martial Prowess Mansion killing that brat instantly. Yang Wonu was also dumbfounded. Compared to when he was in the Yuan Yang clan, Long Fei had become stronger again. Long Fei himself was also secretly excited. 3 special rings, awesome. 1 move, numbing the air. 1 move, protecting the body. Even if he died, there were still resurrection ringes. However, Chu Changkong blocked 2 of his moves consecutively. He was a little unhappy and said, "Try blocking me again." Chu Changkong whined in his heart, and thought to himself, "Do you think I'm willing to block this?" He no longer dared to use his arm to block Long Fei's attack. That feeling of being paralyzed was too uncomfortable, but this was the main entrance of the Xiao Yarrow Business Alliance, and there were still a few more days until the auction. And then, Chu Changkong's strength suddenly moved, forming 2 strong suppressive forces that directly blew Long Fei and Young Master of Martial Prowess Mansion away. At the same time, he shouted loudly, "Calm down both of you, if you dare to attack again, don't blame me for being impolite." Buzz, buzz. 2 powerful energies directly blew Long Fei and Young Master of Martial Prowess Mansion away. This Chu Changkong's cultivation. It's not simple. The last thought of the auction had completely disappeared from Long Fei's mind. Young Master of Martial Prowess Mansion frowned and said solemnly, "Chu Changkong, do you dare to attack me?" Chu Changkong recovered his smile and said, "Young Master of Martial Prowess Mansion, please give me some face. Your father has already told you about coming to Xiao Yarrow Business Alliance. This is a VIP invitation card." Chu Changkong took out a golden invitation card from his bosom. This kind of invitation card only qualified to be an important guest. Even the master of the Lianyu Castle didn't have the qualifications. Young Master of Martial Prowess Mansion took over the invitation card, raised the golden invitation card and showed off his might in front of Long Fei, then said, "Brat, did you see that? Only important distinguished guests have the right to obtain the golden invitation card. Even you lowly people are worthy to fight against me. You don't know how to judge." Invitation card were divided into 3 types. The first kind of ordinary invitation card. These kinds of invitation card were basically prepared for some aristocrats, city lords, and some ordinary rogue cultivator powerhouses. The second type was this kind of golden invitation card. Someone who could obtain this kind of invitation card was definitely not a simple person. Also, there was also another type of invitation card, the diamond invitation card. The number of invitations were extremely small and extremely precious, or perhaps only the overlords of a region had the right to receive one. Young Master of Martial Prowess Mansion laughed complacently. "Kid, do you have one?" Long Fei was neither in a hurry nor impatient. He asked, "Elder, how can I obtain this kind of invitation card?" Chapter 1224 Old Lord Taishang Come to Alchemy. Chapter 1224 Old Lord Taishang Come to Alchemy. Ha ha ha. As soon as Long Fei finished speaking, the young master of martial prowess mansion immediately laughed out loud. The surrounding people also began to loudly laugh at him. "Country bumpkin, you're thinking too much, aren't you? Is this person here to be funny? How can I obtain invitation cards? Who do you think you are? Even the Lianyu Castle's city lord doesn't have the qualifications. Do you think you're qualified to have an invitation card of this level? You don't even have the qualifications to be a normal invitation card." Yi Zichen laughed non-stop. Just from Long Fei's clothes, one could tell that Long Fei was just an ordinary warrior. For others, perhaps, however, was special to him. He received Long Fei's attacks twice and fell into a coma twice. If it was him against Long Fei, I'm afraid that kind of paralysis was very special. It was as though he couldn't resist. Although the time was only half a second, it was more than enough to kill a person in half a second. Chu Changkong slightly said, "To have such a golden invitation card, one must have a special identity, or perhaps give a high-grade spirit treasure to an esteemed guest in the Xiao Yarrow Business Alliance auction house. Little brother, you should leave." He tried to dissuade her. No matter what kind of special things Long Fei had, if he fought with the young master of martial prowess mansion, Long Fei would definitely still lose. The difference in cultivation level was too great. As long as they could avoid Long Fei's attacks, they could avoid the paralyzed ring. Yang Yu gently pulled at the corner of Long Fei's clothes and said, "Let's go." Niu Dashan also did not say anything, and said, "Boss, let's leave." They didn't have any special identities. A high-grade spirit treasure auction? They were even less so. Young master of martial prowess mansion sneered, "Country bumpkin, scram to the side, don't let me see you again, if not, I will beat you up every time I see you." Scram. What kind of person is this? How embarrassing. Long Fei exhaled lightly, then turned and left. Young master of martial prowess mansion laughed out loud, "Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. Country bumpkin, what kind of thing is this? Fight with me? It's more like seeking death. Beauty, be my woman. Didn't you want to go to the auction? I'll bring you in. What kind of future do you have by following this country bumpkin?" Yang Yu held onto Long Fei's arm tightly. Long Fei suddenly stopped and clenched his fists. And then, his fists slowly loosened and he walked out of the crowd. A burst of mocking laughter came from behind him. He wants to obtain the golden invitation card? He must be crazy. A country bumpkin. Is a golden invitation card owned by this kind of person? Young master of martial prowess mansion waved his hand, saying, "Watch them closely and see where they live. I want that woman. None of the women that my young master of martial prowess mansion has set his eyes on can escape." And then Chu Changkong made an inviting gesture towards the young master of martial prowess mansion, and said, "Young master of martial prowess mansion, please, your father still left a few things for you." Young master of martial prowess mansion walked into the Xiao Yarrow Business Alliance proudly. Chu Changkong took a glance at the distant Long Fei, causing the idea to move slightly as it sent a sound transmission to him, "Little brother, hurry up and leave Lianyu Castle." He did not know why he reminded Long Fei. Only, he knew that if Long Fei did not quickly leave Lianyu Castle, he would never be able to leave. Back at the inn, Long Fei did not pack his luggage and left, but said to the three of them, "Niu Dashan, buy me a pill furnace." "Oh." Niu Dashan recovered from his shock and asked, "Boss, what do you want the pill furnace for?" Yang Yu said, "Don't be angry, we are not fighting with others, moreover I hate him, isn't it just an auction? If you can't go, then you can't." Yang Wanu also said, "Long Fei, don't be so stingy, the power behind young master of martial prowess mansion is really great, we need to be careful." Long Fei's expression did not change, and he said, "Mountain, go buy the pill furnace." Niu Dashan did not ask any more, and immediately threw it out. Long Fei looked at Yang Yu and Yang Wanu, and said, "I'm not mad at you, so don't give me the chance." Is the golden invitation card amazing? Then I'll use the golden invitation card to slap his face later. Was unable to change his identity. He never complained. As for the second condition, he thought of something on the way here. Alchemy. His alchemy technique in the Chaos Realm was still at the beginner tier, and it was very difficult to refine even the lowest level of pills. If ordinary pills could not even enter the main gate of the Xiao Yarrow Business Alliance, how could they even enter the auction? Ordinary pills wouldn't do, but what if the pills were too rare for the old lord to refine? This is the ancestor of the alchemy. The elixirs are all for the heavenly emperor to consume. Can this kind of elixir enter the auction? Not long after, Niu Dashan returned to the inn with the alchemy furnace in his arms. Long Fei said, "You all wait outside." Without waiting for their consent, Long Fei pushed them out of the room and closed the door. Alchemy? Do you really want alchemy? Niu Dashan scratched his head and muttered, "The alchemy of the old General Assembly?" Yang Yu replied, "You're asking me, but who should I ask? If you don't know, then we don't know either." Niu Dashan said, "We have been together for so long, I have never seen his alchemy. What kind of pills can he refine?" Yang Wonu was also lost in thought as he muttered, "I also haven't heard that Hellgate's junior master knows how to use alchemy." "What did you say? Alchemy? Ha ha ha. Just his alchemy? Aren't you afraid of laughing to death?" Young master of Martial Prowess Mansion laughed complacently when he received the news of Long Fei's alchemy. And then he looked at Chu Changkong and laughed out loud. "Elder Chu, is your Xiao Yarrow Business Alliance trying to collect the trash pills?" Ha ha ha. Chu Changkong laughed along with him, and thought, why doesn't this brat listen to advice? He thought that Long Fei would leave, but he didn't expect that Long Fei actually wanted alchemy. It was impossible for a grade 9 pellet to enter the auction house. Even if he, a young warrior with decent alchemy, could refine a deity tier pellet, right? Even if it was a divine level pill, it was still far from qualified to exchange for the golden invitation card. One of the servants asked, "Young master, should we make a move on them?" Young master of Martial Prowess Mansion laughed, "Don't worry, isn't that country bumpkin unconvinced? We'll wait here and see what kind of pills he can refine." Ha ha ha. He wanted to see Long Fei become a joke. Furthermore, he wanted to ruthlessly step on Long Fei in front of Yang Yu so that he could display his methods and conquer women. "Don't even think about escaping from the woman I've taken a fancy to." Humph. In another place. In the inn. Long Fei took out the spirit grass he had gathered from the Yuanyang mountain range. The idea moved and said, "Old Lord Taishang, please come out." The idea controlled the power of Old Lord Taishang's possession and activated it. At this moment, Long Fei's gaze instantly changed, his body suffused with traces of the golden light that only God could give out. Chapter 1225, Gambling. Chapter 1225, Gambling. Competing in alchemy. Long Fei still couldn't think of anyone who could be stronger than Old Lord Taishang. He was a divine person that was specially refining elixir for the Jade Emperor. The moment Old Lord Taishang's possession was released, Long Fei's world abruptly changed. A timetable also appeared in his mind. And then, Long Fei controlled her. "Old Lord Taishang, let's begin." Wang. The godlike alchemy began. The method was weird, the control of the fire was perfect. The most powerful part was that Old Lord Taishang had injected his energy into the pills, causing them to transform during the process of refinement. Ding. The pill has been successfully refined. The quality is exceptional, and the reward is proficiency plus 100 points. Ding. The pill has been successfully refined. The quality is exceptional, and the reward is proficiency plus 100 points. The system sounded out continuously. This process continued for 2 minutes. Long Fei refined a set of 10 pellet. It was also at this time. Long Fei immediately retracted his idea and retracted the power that Old Lord Taishang had possessed. He still has a few more minutes to use up. He'll be using it next time. He kept the pill furnace. Long Fei opened the door and looked at the 3 people who were panicking, then immediately said, "Go to Xiao Yarrow Business Alliance." Niu Dashan was stunned. Yang Yu said, Long Fei, stop messing around, we'll think of a way to deal with the invitation card. Yang Wonu said, this is not a joke, we should just avoid it for now. I just received the news that young master of Martial Prowess Mansion is still at Xiao Yarrow Business Alliance, and was just waiting to see you make a fool of yourself. What kind of pill could he concoct in just a few minutes? 1 pill, or 2? Were the pills that he successfully forged? Even if it was an ordinary alchemist, it was impossible to refine such a short amount of pills. Even if it was refined, it would only be Earth-grade pills. It was simply impossible to enter the Xiao Yarrow Business Alliance. If he went to Xiao Yarrow Business Alliance now, he would only be mocked once again. Long Fei didn't pay attention to him, and said, just follow me. Niu Dashan had a 100% confidence in Long Fei, so he followed him out excitedly. Yang Yu also anxiously followed, and said, Long Fei, we really don't need to care about him, we. Suddenly, Long Fei stopped and said, as long as you follow me, Long Fei, no one is allowed to bully you. Say those words in front of me, I will definitely not let him off. There was no night of revenge. As long as he found the chance, Long Fei would definitely release it all. There was a kind of small happiness in his heart, but he was more worried that something might happen to Long Fei. Xiao Yarrow Business Alliance. Elder Chu, what kind of pill do you think he can refine? The young master of Martial Prowess Mansion asked with interest, does your Xiao Yarrow Business Alliance accept waste powder? Ha ha ha. Chu Changkong smiled apologetically, and said, young master of Martial Prowess Mansion, what kind of pill he concocts has nothing to do with us. There are still a lot of things that I haven't finished with the auction, so I won't accompany you. Elder Chu stood up and said, come, greet young master of Martial Prowess Mansion. He could not understand why Long Fei wanted his alchemy to slap young master of Martial Prowess Mansion's face again. This idea was very childish. Who is the young master of Martial Prowess Mansion? In the Lianyu Castle, even the Xiao Yarrow Business Alliance did not dare to easily offend them. In the entire Lianyu Castle, there were very few who dared to easily offend them. Long Fei was an outsider. What kind of power could he possibly have? Not a dragon, but a river. Chu Changkong walked out of the hall, his brows locked into a frown. He sighed lightly and muttered to himself, if you want to come and throw your life away, that is your choice. I have already given you a reminder. Finished. Chu Changkong was busy with his own things. Coincidentally, the matter regarding the spirit pill auction was handled by him. He had a few matters he had not dealt with yet, and did not wish to participate in the farce between Long Fei and young master of Martial Prowess Mansion. In his view, Long Fei had come to throw his life away. Chu Changkong walked towards the backyard, to see an even more important guest. Young master of Martial Prowess Mansion drank his tea and laughed coldly. Not long later, outside the Xiao Yarrow Business Alliance. Why is he here again? Looking for discomfort? Kid, do you think your life is too long? You still dare to come? With Elder Chu helping you out, you think you can escape this time? He really doesn't know his place. Many people continued to mock Long Fei. Niu Dashan was unwilling to accept this. Long Fei held him back, and said, some people can only do this for their entire lives, laughing at others. In fact, they have always been the target of people's laughter. Kid, what did you say? Don't be too arrogant. You really think too highly of yourself. You dare to be arrogant with your purple realm? Why don't you take a look at this place? Many people clamored again. Long Fei still did not pay attention to him, and directly ignored him. Long Fei walked up to the front door of the Xiao Yarrow Business Alliance and said, I will have to trouble you to inform me that I have something to auction. The Xiao Yarrow Business Alliance's guard was quite polite and reminded him, little brother, Xiao Yarrow Business Alliance's auction is of a very high grade. Normal things simply cannot enter the auction house. Long Fei nodded, and said, I know. It was also at this time. Young master of Martial Prowess Mansion walked out with a golden invitation card in his hand. With a sneer on his face, he said, Yo, aren't you the countryside bumpkin who just ran away with his tail between his legs? He still dares to come now? Niu Dashan yelled, who are you calling a country bumpkin? The young master of martial prowess mansion disdainfully said, "Hey you guys, what's wrong? Aren't you country bumpkin?" Long Fei's eyes darkened. Yang Yu said softly, "Long Fei, let's go." She really did not want to see Long Fei being humiliated by the young master of martial prowess mansion again. Young master of martial prowess mansion said, "Brat, I heard that you ran off to the alchemy in anger just now. Let me see what kind of good pills you can refine. Let us see what a country bumpkin's pill looks like." Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. Many of the surrounding people began to loudly laugh at him. Alchemy? It's only been a few minutes. What kind of pills could he concoct? You still want to enter the Xiao Yarrow Business Alliance's auction? Idiot's dream. Nyo Dashan bellowed, "Why do I need to show you the pills my boss has refined?" "Who do you think you are?" Young master of martial prowess mansion laughed. "What pills can you refine? Do you know how to write the word medicinal pill? You still want to enter the Xiao Yarrow Business Alliance's auction, want to exchange for invitation card? Country bumpkin, some people's lives can't be changed. They want to enter the auction, but in their next lives they must have been reincarnated before." The coldness in Long Fei's eyes became stronger, and he said, "If the pills can enter the auction, what do you think? Slap yourself 3 times. Do you dare?" Young master of martial prowess mansion frowned, he glanced at Yang Yu, then laughed. "What if your pill is rejected?" Long Fei said, at the same time, "Slapping yourself 3 times." Young master of martial prowess mansion laughed. "You said it yourself. Prepare to slap yourself." Chapter 1226 Shocking Pills. Chapter 1226 Shocking Pills. Long Fei took out a small porcelain bottle that was filled with pills, and said to the guard, "This is a pill I refined, I will have to trouble you to inform me, thank you." The guard took it and walked into Xiao Yarrow Business Alliance without saying anything. "Grandmaster Kang, have you not succeeded yet?" Chu Changkong looked at the old man in front of him and asked respectfully. Azure Dragon. The #1 alchemy master of the Kanglan Emperor, also known as the Chief Alchemy Grandmaster of the Xiao Yarrow Business Alliance. He had concocted countless pills. All sorts of holy plea and all kinds of new medicine were obtained from his hands. In this auction, he had the responsibility of taking care of Xiao Yarrow Business Alliance's alchemy. He wanted to refine a few pellets that had unique attributes, so as to increase the influence of the Xiao Yarrow Business Alliance and increase the share of the pellet market. The Azure Dragon shook his head gently and said, "Just a bit more and I wouldn't be able to break through no matter what. Seems like this is where my limit is. Elder Chu, I'm really sorry that I wasn't able to concoct the pill you all wanted." The Azure Dragon also felt very embarrassed. After all, he had wasted a large number of high-level spirit grass. The value of these spirit grass were shockingly high. Chu Changkong immediately replied, "What kind of words are you saying, Master Kang? Developing a new medicine would normally consume a spirit grass, but there were still 3 days before the auction, so this auction was extremely important to Chu Changkong. If the pills were to be auctioned well, then his future path in Xiao Yarrow Business Alliance would be much easier. If he failed this time, his current position might not be preserved." The Azure Dragon said, "There are still 3 days, I will do my best. If it really doesn't work, I will use the mysterious god pill as a substitute." Chu Changkong smiled faintly and said, "Then, I'll have to thank Master Kang." At this moment, there was a commotion outside the door. Who does he think he is, giving everything to Elder Chu? He just wants to be a bumpkin of the invitation card. What pills can he concoct? How can he concoct pills? Yes, Manager Liu was right. I won't dare to do it again. It was also at this time. Chu Changkong opened the door and asked, "What happened? What is it?" Liu Fu immediately said, "Elder, a country bumpkin just brought a pill and said that he would be auctioning it off. This fellow did not know anything and directly sent it in. I will go out to send him off." Chu Changkong did not take it seriously. Just as he was about to enter the house, he paused for a moment and asked, "Is it that brat who went against the young master of martial prowess mansion?" The guard said, "It's him. The two are making a bet right now." Bet? Chu Changkong was startled, and said, "What do we bet?" The guard said, That brat is betting on this pill being able to enter the auction. Young master of martial prowess mansion is betting on himself not being able to. Liu Fu said, this kid will lose for sure. If he wants to enter the Xiao Yarrow Business Alliance for a pill, even god-level pills will be hard to obtain. How can that country bumpkin have a god-level pill? Chu Changkong looked at Liu Fu coldly. Liu Fu immediately lowered his head and didn't dare to say another word. Chu Changkong also thought so in his heart. The head alchemy master of the Xiao Yarrow Business Alliance, Kang Long, was one of the peak alchemists of the Chaos Realm, and the medicinal pellets that the Xiao Yarrow Business Alliance auctioned were always pellets of high quality that the Xiao Yarrow Business Alliance himself developed. Using the auction as a promotion window, ordinary pellets of the divine level would not even be able to catch his eye. There was silence for half a second. Chu Changkong did not know why, but he suddenly said, bring the pills in for me to see. Liu Fu was stunned. This was the first time. Didn't you hear me? Chu Changkong repeated. Liu Fu reacted quickly and immediately brought the bottle forward. Elder, I just checked the pill and found no energy waves coming from it. It should be a useless pill. Chu Changkong frowned. After receiving the small porcelain bottle, he turned and entered the room. He did not look. Because, since Liu Fu had already appraised it, then this pill was most likely a waste powder. It was just that. Chu Chang Feng secretly felt regret for Long Fei, and thought to himself, I will buy you some time, I hope you can escape. He was in no hurry to announce the results. Because he wanted to give Long Fei time to escape. Time passed minute by minute. Chu Changkong sat in his room and waited. He did not open the small porcelain bottle on the table. 2 hours passed in the blink of an eye. While he did not give his answer, a commotion broke out at the entrance of the Xiao Yarrow Business Alliance. Kid, why aren't you admitting defeat? Young master of martial prowess mansion laughed complacently. It's been 2 hours. If the pills you refined could have entered the auction, Chu Changkong would have come out to personally see you a long time ago. You would have waited here for me. Exactly. I think the pills are too useless. I'll just throw them away and ignore you. You know about alchemy? It's more like fart. Admit defeat. It was a little long, which was way beyond Long Fei's expectations. Logically speaking, old Lord Taishang should not have made any errors in concocting the pill, but why was there no response? Could it really not enter their eyes? At this moment, Long Fei's heart also had 15 buckets that went up and down. Niu Dashan retorted loudly, the medicinal pellets concocted by my boss are not ordinary, they definitely receive a lot of attention. They are researching how to set a price for it. What are you guys arguing about? Ha ha ha. Big guy, you're too beautiful. You're thinking too beautifully. You are just a retard, yet you received such great attention. I think that you are just treating it as a useless pill, and the pills he concocts are just an insult to the Xiao Yarrow Business Alliance. It would be great if he didn't break your legs, and you still wanted to reply? That's impossible. There was an argument outside the hall. Young master of martial prowess mansion looked at Yang Yu and said, beautiful girl, didn't you want to go to the auction venue? Let me bring you there. Do you see the golden invitation card in my hands? This is the first row. Only someone like me with a precious identity can sit here. If you follow a country bumpkin, you can only watch from outside the auction. Yang Yu's brows tightened, and completely ignored them. Young master of martial prowess mansion also lost his patience a little as he stared at Long Fei and said, country bumpkin, how much longer do you have to wait? My time is more precious than yours, I don't want to continue waiting with you country bumpkins. Without waiting for Long Fei to speak, the young master of martial prowess mansion continued, just wait 10 more minutes. Once the 10 minutes have passed, we'll consider it your loss. When the time comes. Young master of martial prowess mansion stared at Yang Yu's chest and laughed obscenely, saying, you can avoid slapping yourself in the face, but she has to spend the night with me. Yang Wanu shouted, say it again. Young master of martial prowess mansion laughed and said, if you don't accompany me for one night, none of you should even think of leaving Lianyu Castle, ha ha ha. Otherwise, you will have won this gambling match. Ha ha ha. Yang Yu's body trembled slightly as she looked at Xiong Longfei. Long Fei's gaze was dark and the anger in his heart was faintly stirred. Boom! An explosion sounded in the pill room. Chu Changkong was suddenly awakened, and then let out a long sigh, another failure. Kang Long also walked out from the pill room with a depressed look on his face. It seems this is really my limit. Following that, he looked at the small porcelain bottle on the table and asked, "What is this?" Chu Changkong replied, "A pill for auction sent by one person." The azure dragon picked up the small porcelain bottle and looked at it. Then, his entire body froze. Chapter 1227, Master. Chapter 1227, Master. At the entrance of Xiao Yarrow Business Alliance. Young Master of Martial Prowess Mansion laughed proudly. "Country bumpkin, it's time. You lost. Are you fanning yourself? Or should I do it?" Young Master of Martial Prowess Mansion was extremely proud. He looked at Yang Yu and swallowed his saliva. The 4 spirit-level sedan bearers beside him all stepped forward. He really wasn't a match for these 4. Nyo Dashan blocked and shouted, "Xiao Yarrow Business Alliance has yet to announce the results. What you announced does not count." Young Master of Martial Prowess Mansion laughed disdainfully. "It's just testing a pill, not to mention 2 hours, even if it's just 2 minutes, it's already enough. The reason Xiao Yarrow Business Alliance did not give the result is because they do not care to announce it. Are you going to fan me? If you don't fan, then I'll do it for you." Young Master of Martial Prowess Mansion's aura moved. Long Fei frowned. Just as Young Master of Martial Prowess Mansion had said, 2 minutes was enough for a single pill to show its quality. If the results were not announced for more than 2 hours, what did it mean? How did this happen? This is a pill refined by old Lord Taishang. Did the system scam Lousy? Long Fei's heart sank. At this time, his idea moved, and the 3 special rings began to circulate, as he said in a low voice, "Uncle Yang, protect Yang Yu well later on. We will obstruct them, you guys find a chance to escape." At this time, Long Fei had no other choice. "Let her accompany me for the night, I will let you leave this place safely." Young Master of Martial Prowess Mansion said with a lewd smile. Long Fei said angrily, "I will accompany your 18 generations of ancestors." The young Master of Martial Prowess Mansion's eyes turned sinister as he said, "If you can't see the coffin, don't cry. Make your move." As soon as he finished, the auras of the 4 sedan bearers instantly exploded, and they came crashing over. The surrounding crowd quickly pushed their way, afraid that they would be caught in the crossfire. Will there be a good ending if we go against the young Master of Martial Prowess Mansion? These people are simply courting death. Ha ha ha. There's something to see. Just as they were in a panic, a wave of people rushed out from Xiao Yarrow Business Alliance. Boom, boom, boom. They were all the guards of Xiao Yarrow Business Alliance, elites, and all of them were at least spirit level. They quickly rushed out and surrounded Long Fei and Young Master of Martial Prowess Mansion. Young Master of Martial Prowess Mansion's face sank as he coldly asked, "Chu Changkong, what do you mean by this?" Chu Changkong did not pay any attention to the Young Master of Martial Prowess Mansion. Instead, he looked at Long Fei with an expression of excitement that was difficult to conceal. "Did you refine that medicinal pellet just now?" Long Fei nodded and said, "I refined it." Young Master of Martial Prowess Mansion laughed coldly. "Brat, from the looks of it, you have angered Xiao Yarrow Business Alliance. You might not know this, but Xiao Yarrow Business Alliance possesses the top alchemy of the Chaos Realm, so that pellet of yours is an insult to Xiao Yarrow Business Alliance. You should prepare to die." The surrounding crowd was the same, all revealing faces full of mockery. Forging an axe at the door, did you smash your own foot with that axe? Auction for Xiao Yarrow Business Alliance's pellets, don't you think he knows that Xiao Yarrow Business Alliance's pellets are always pellets that they refined themselves? He's simply courting death. Nyo Dashan approached Long Fei, the blood vein energy on his body surged, and he became cautious. As long as they started fighting, he would be the first one to rush up. The atmosphere became even more tense. Long Fei also could not understand what Chu Changkong was doing. Just as everyone was laughing at Long Fei, Chu Changkong's eyes flashed as tears glistened. She grabbed onto Long Fei's hands and said, "Master, Master, are you the legendary master?" His face was filled with agitation. The situation had changed too quickly, so quickly that no one could react to it. Long Fei was also stunned. Chu Changkong said, "The pills you refine are just too great, they are even stronger than masters. If this isn't master, then what is? What? What is he talking about? Did I hear wrong? He is a transcendent master?" No one could think straight. How did it suddenly turn out like this? Long Fei was clearly just a country bumpkin. How did he become a master when he was holding a broken pellet? Long Fei was very calm in his heart as he thought to himself, "Old Lord Taishang is Old Lord Taishang. How could the pill he refined not be a holy plea?" Long Fei's mouth slowly rose. The young master of martial prowess mansion shouted, "Chu Changkong, are you mistaken? He is a master. I think he's a super ghost master, that's more like it." Chu Changkong did not care about young master of martial prowess mansion at all. In his eyes, the young master of martial prowess mansion was just a fart. He tightly held onto Long Fei's hand and said, "Come, let's go in and discuss. I'll agree to any condition you want." Finished. Chu Changkong pulled Long Fei and was about to go in. At this time, Long Fei stopped and said, "Elder Chu, if you want to talk, that's fine. But before that, there are some things that I have to do." Chu Changkong immediately asked, "What do you want?" "I'll help you do it." As soon as he finished speaking, the surrounding elite guards shuddered. Young master of martial prowess mansion's face changed. The 4 palanquin men were so scared that they started to tremble. Long Fei asked, "The matter is very simple, you just need to answer." Chu Changkong said, "Tell me." Long Fei asked, "Can this pill enter your Xiao Yarrow Business Alliance's auction house?" Chu Changkong immediately said, "Of course I can. This pill can defend myself against ancient spiritual treasure, how could I not enter the auction?" With that, everyone was stunned. Yang Wonu, Yang Yu, and Nyo Dashan were even more dumbfounded. A single pill was comparable to an ancient spiritual treasure. What kind of concept was that? Too fierce. Young master of martial prowess mansion's eyes moved, and he shouted, "Chu Changkong, are you a retard? His pills are comparable to ancient spiritual treasure s? Is your brain filled with water? Or did you forget to take your medicine today?" Chu Changkong's eyes were filled with anger. At this moment, an old man walked out and shouted, "How dare a little young master of martial prowess mansion be so impudent? How can the pill that I appraised be fake?" The sound of thunder heavily crashed down. A momentary silence. Young master of martial prowess mansion saw the standard of the old man's chest, and his face changed greatly. "Kang, Kang, Master Long. Kang Lan Emperor's chief alchemy master. Chaos Realm's top-notch alchemy master and Xiao Yarrow Business Alliance's chief alchemy master both asked and asked. Since he had already come out and said it like that, this pellet must not be fake. Young master of martial prowess mansion's face turned pale. At this moment, Long Fei said slightly, "Elder Chu, with the level of this pill, will I be able to exchange for a set of golden invitation card?" Chu Changkong immediately said, "The golden invitation card is unable to reflect your identity at all. This is a diamond invitation card. You are a distinguished guest of our Xiao Yarrow Business Alliance, and all auctions receive a 20% discount." Long Fei did not hesitate as he took the diamond invitation card and walked in front of the young master of martial prowess mansion, and said slightly, "Now you're the one who did it yourself? Or do you want me to do it for you? How about this, letting your mother accompany me for the night?" Chapter 1228, 100-Year-Old Life Essence Medicine. Chapter 1228, 100-Year-Old Life Essence Medicine. Don't let Long Fei find the chance to do so. Finding an opportunity was stepping on death itself. He was such a person. Young master of martial prowess mansion's eyes were filled with anger as he bellowed, "Brat, you F***king want to die. Let's see who the fuck wants to die." Long Fei replied, the anger in his heart exploding, and said, "3 slaps, this daddy will do it for you." Buzz. He took a step forward. Young master of martial prowess mansion's chest was exposed, his face full of contempt. "With just you?" In terms of cultivation level, he did not put Long Fei in his eyes at all. and the purple realm did not even have the qualifications to carry his shoes. Seeing Long Fei rushing over, his face was full of ridicule. He blocked the attack with one blow. Boom! The strong force burst out, causing Long Fei to be forced to retreat continuously. The blood in his chest was churning, he almost could not hold on. However, in that instant, the paralyzed ring's attributes were triggered. Young Master of Martial Prowess Mansion was paralyzed. Without waiting for Young Master of Martial Prowess Mansion to react, Long Fei slapped his face heavily. Pa! The 5-finger marks were clearly visible. Then, he turned around and slapped on the left side of his face. Pa! Another 5-fingered mark appeared. A third slap landed on the back of his head. He directly flipped Young Master of Martial Prowess Mansion onto the ground. Long Fei smashed onto the ground, causing the ground to shake. He raised his right foot and stomped down fiercely, heavily landing on Young Master of Martial Prowess Mansion's head, and roared, "How does it feel to be stepped on by a bumpkin?" Heh! The 3 slaps were fast and accurate, almost in one go. Young Master of Martial Prowess Mansion did not have the slightest bit of temper, nor did he have the time to react, because at that moment, his nerves were paralyzed. He couldn't move his entire body. He himself did not know, but when he regained his senses, he was already lying on the ground with his face red and blood trickling from the corner of his mouth, looking extremely uncomfortable. Everyone was shocked. Chu Changkong also had a face full of shock. This brat. Just by giving him a little chance, he would be able to create a miracle. His cultivation level of the Purple Gold Realm is actually able to knock down a spirit-level Peak Realm's Young Master of Martial Prowess Mansion. The Azure Dragon also had a face full of shock, but his heart was filled with ecstasy. Long Fei stepped on Young Master of Martial Prowess Mansion's head, his gaze sweeping across the entire competition grounds, and stared at the people who mocked him a moment ago, then shouted, "Laugh, laugh again for lousy. Don't you like to laugh?" F***CK. A curse burst out. Young Master of Martial Prowess Mansion lied on the ground and said, "Kill him." The 4 sedan bearers moved. Nyo Dashan instantly landed beside Long Fei and the image of the Demon Ox King appeared. Nyo Dashan shouted, "Let's try and see who it is." Chu Changkong also shouted, "Young Master of Martial Prowess Mansion, this is not a place for you to behave atrociously." The elite guards of the Xiao Yarrow Business Alliance were startled. The 4 sedan bearers were stopped. The young Master of Martial Prowess Mansion was furious. "Chu Changkong, you dare to go against the Martial Prowess Mansion?" Chu Changkong laughed coldly, and said, "Xiao Yarrow Business Alliance has never been afraid of anyone before." Kang Long also said slightly, "You punk, from today onwards, you are not to touch him at all. If not, this old man will not care about what Martial Prowess Mansion you are." Humph. The 2 of them knew the type of pill Long Fei had given them. This pill was too powerful. If it could be mass-produced, the Martial Prowess Mansion would be considered nothing. Even if they could not mass-produce them, if they could, they were super existences. So what if they offended the Martial Prowess Mansion? Then, Chu Changkong said slightly, "Little brother, let's go in and talk." Long Fei laughed, "Sure." Then, he kicked Young Master of Martial Prowess Mansion away. Nyo Dashan ruthlessly said with contempt, "Who is the trash now, and who is the trash? Who's a dead dog?" Ha ha ha. The 3 of them followed Long Fei into the courtyard. Young Master of Martial Prowess Mansion slowly crawled up from the ground. His eyes were gloomy and his teeth were chattering loudly. "You dog, your father will not let you off." He had never suffered such a loss before. He had never been humiliated like this before. Young Master of Martial Prowess Mansion's eyes were bloodshot and his killing intent was extremely strong. Within the VIP lounge, Kang Long sat beside Long Fei, his face full of excitement, and asked, "What is the name of this pellet? How did you manage to successfully refine it?" "This medicinal pill is simply too powerful." When he sensed the attribute of this pill, he was stupefied. He had never seen such a powerful pill before. It contained an extremely strong power. It was not only a battle-type pill, but also a supportive-type pill. A single pill could cause a martial artist to undergo an earth-shattering transformation. This wasn't the most amazing part of it. Most importantly, He could give any martial artist 100 years of lifespan. This was the most shocking thing about the Azure Dragon. Even in the entire Chaos Realm, no one could refine a pill that could increase lifespan. This was one of the best, and saying that he was comparable to an ancient spiritual treasure would belittle him. If one were to say that the Chaos Realm was considered an intermediate plane, the warriors here are also restricted by their lifespan. If you can't break through the lifespan limit, you will die of old age too. Thus, how precious was this pill that could increase lifespan by 100 years? 100 years of time was incomparably precious to anyone. For those powerhouse who had never stepped into seclusion and whose lifespan was about to run out, its value was unimaginable. When they reached the end of their lifespan, time was life, everything. Even if he had to give up everything, he wanted to live for another year. This kind of pill was simply the savior of all the super powerhouses. In terms of pill properties, Long Fei did not rush over to take a look. However, he believed in old Lord Taishang's power. How could the pills refined by the ancestral alchemy be ordinary? But Long Fei still did not expect to concoct such a heaven-opposing pill. It was far beyond his expectations. Seeing Long Fei not saying a word, he said, "I'm sorry, I was too rash, please forgive me. I was too excited." Top alchemy master in Master Kang Long. But in front of Long Fei, he was like a fan worshipping his idol, excited to the extreme. Long Fei smiled faintly, and said, "It doesn't matter, the success of this pill is also due to luck." Chu Changkong looked at Long Fei and asked, "How many more of these pills do you have?" That was what he was concerned about. Long Fei said, "Other than the one I gave you, I have another one with me. I refined a total of 2, with limited spirit grass and a lot of energy." The Azure Dragon had experienced it firsthand, and when he heard Long Fei say that he had refined 2, he was even more shocked. Long Fei secretly thought, "If I knew I had 10 in total, what would I look like?" Chu Changkong carefully asked, "What kind of price do you want to sell?" Long Fei said, "I do not know about the price, so I'll leave this matter to you guys to decide." Naturally, the more the better. Chu Changkong hesitated for a while, then said, "Take out the other one for auction. If you can take it out to auction, our Xiao Yarrow Business Alliance is willing to buy a second one at the same price for the first one. What do you think?" Chapter 1229 Arrangements. Chapter 1229 Arrangements. This. Long Fei hesitated for a moment, then said, "More Xian crystal S are of no particular use to me." The Xian crystal was indeed useless to Long Fei. However, Long Fei was actually a little grateful towards Chu Changkong in his heart. He reminded him with good intentions several times that this person at least made Long Fei feel that he was a good person. Chu Changkong's heart tightened. Kang Long was the same, but this kind of matter, none of them could force Long Fei. Seeing them so nervous, Long Fei laughed, "I don't want the Xian crystal, take the other pill, I gave it to you as a gift." After he finished speaking, Long Fei took out her elixir and handed it over. There were still 3 minutes left for old Lord Taishang to possess. If he refined it with all his might, he could still refine more than 10 of these elixir. This kind of pill did not have much effect on Long Fei. However, to Chu Changkong and Kang Long, this was simply the best pellets in the world. The two of them were stupefied. Giving away such a precious pill. Chu Changkong's voice trembled as he said, This is not good, right?" Long Fei said indifferently, "Elder Chu, you reminded me with good intentions several times. Even though I didn't listen, this pill will be my repayment." The Azure Dragon was also incomparably moved as he said, "Little friend, you are truly amazing." And then, the Azure Dragon took out a small command tablet that was engraved with the words Navy Tide and passed it to Long Fei. "Little friend, this is the command tablet for Kang Lan Emperor. The person who takes this command tablet can request Kang Lan Emperor to do anything." Yang Wanu's pair of eyes shook as the shock in his heart turned the heavens upside down. He said excitedly, "Even the entire Chaos Realm does not have 5 Kanglan Town Order. Kang Lan Emperor is one of the great hegemons of the Chaos Realm, an extremely powerful existence. This command medallion is priceless." Long Fei did not refuse, and said, Then, I'll have to thank Master Kang. Ari, how can you call me Grandmaster? I should have called you Master. I'm afraid in the entire Chaos Realm, you're the only person who can refine such a pill. You are the fully deserving Master, you definitely can't call me Master. If you don't mind, you can just call me Brother. How precious was the identity of the Azure Dragon? He directly wanted to be brothers with Long Fei, and there was a bit of a begging tone in his words, as though he took a huge advantage of her. Long Fei said, "Big Brother Kang." He thought to himself, damn, why do I keep thinking of calling him Old Master? The blue dragon's smile blossomed, and he said, ha ha ha. Ha 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 ha. Ha ha ha. Good, good, good. Chu Changkong also slightly said, did you come to the auction because you wanted something? As long as it is within my power, I will definitely give it to you. Long Fei said, there are a few things, but I can buy it myself. Since he treated Chu Changkong as his friend, then Long Fei would not ask him to do all of this. The items at the auction had all been arranged beforehand and were written on the flyer. If a few items were not auctioned off suddenly, it would affect Xiao Yarrow Business Alliance's reputation. Moreover, the price of this elixir should not be bad, so with the price of this elixir, one could naturally buy the 9-Yang Divine Technique and the 7-Star Herba. Therefore, Long Fei didn't ask for anything. Chu Changkong's heart was even more grateful as he said, that's right, we still don't know your name. Long Fei did not conceal anything, and said, Long Fei. Long Fei. Chu Changkong was startled. He looked at Long Fei and asked, Hellgate's previous junior master, Long Fei? Long Fei wanted to abandon this identity of his, but it was simply impossible. With a bitter smile, he replied, I guess so. Kang Long was instantly shocked. He thought that they shared the same surname, but who would have thought that it was actually the identity of a youth master of Hellgate? He said, no wonder. The two of them being shocked made Long Fei curious. What kind of existence is the Hellgate? What kind of powerful strength does this body have that has yet to awaken? My soul transmigrated? Or did my memories get blocked by the seal? Long Fei really wanted to find out. After exchanging a few words of greeting, Long Fei and the other three left the Xiao Yarrow Business Alliance through the back door. In the hall, Chu Changkong and Kang Long looked at the two elixir on the table. After a long time, Kang Long slightly said, Brother Long views us as friends. He wants to give us the entire pill without batting an eye. Chu Changkong added, that's right. This kind of elixir could make the powerhouse on the Heavenly Emperor board work their lives out for it. 100 years of life, it might not be much to normal warriors, but to those Sky Emperor powerhouse, this pill is fatal. With this pill, my Xiao Yarrow Business Alliance will simply have one more super powerhouse on the Heavenly Emperor list. Kang Long was also excited, and asked, what do you want to do next? Chu Changkong became excited and said, I plan to return to headquarters for a trip, and then make use of the headquarters channels to spread this elixir out. The Azure Dragon was shocked. You want to attract all those old monsters, right? Chu Changkong said, this pill was given to me by Long Fei, he is in danger now. Hellgate, 10,000 Alliance Sect, Bounty Gate are all eyeing him covetously, and just the people in Lianyu Castle cannot be dealt with by them. I want to use this pill to have a powerhouse protect Long Fei. Kang Long laughed and said, that's what I thought too. The Hellgate, the Bounty Gate, and the 10,000 Alliance Sect are all absolute hegemons of their forces. If you want to suppress them, you can only rely on the powerhouse on the Heavenly Emperor list. But Kang Long's brows knitted, and said, have you thought about it? If anyone found out that the elixir was refined by him, then he would not only be chased by the three great forces, even all of Chaos Realm would come looking for him. That way, he would be in even greater danger than he is right now. Chu Changkong's gaze tensed up. I really didn't think about that. The Azure Dragon said, it would be better to use the power of the Xiao Yarrow Business Alliance to protect him. The matter of the elixir must not be discovered by anyone. This was the only way to conceal Long Fei's identity. Only then would he not be noticed by others. Once his identity was exposed, those super powerhouse would come looking for him for the elixir. If he couldn't refine it, or didn't give it to him, then it would be stealing and killing. This was the case for Chaos Realm. The Hell Gate changed hands. The Bounty Gate mission had failed, and the entire Thousand Alliance sect's Lai Yang had been killed. The three great forces would definitely not let Long Fei off. If this matter were to be exposed again, they would send even more powerhouse to assassinate Long Fei. Chu Changkong slightly nodded. I will report this matter in detail to the president. Kang Long's face was filled with excitement as he muttered, a genius has appeared in the alchemy realm. This is going to be fun. This pellet will definitely be a super bomb, ha ha ha. The alchemy realm, prepare to tremble. I can't wait to start the auction. Chapter 12:30 Now it's Lao's turn. Chapter 12:30 Now it's Lao's turn. Chu Changkong secretly went to the headquarters. He was doing an important promotion for the elixir that Long Fei had refined, and at the same time, he was applying for Powerhouse's protection. However, the Lianyu Castle, on the other hand, was out of control. The more young master of Martial Prowess Mansion thought back to the Martial Prowess Mansion, the angrier he got, and the more he thought about it, the more everything in the hall was smashed into pieces by him. What dog's hit pill is this? What bullshit is this? You're trying to make me look bad to you, aren't you? All right. Damned country bumpkin, then just you wait. In his opinion, it was impossible for Long Fei to concoct a pill that could alert the Blue Dragon, this kind of master. He couldn't offend the Xiao Yarrow Business Alliance, but Long Fei. At this moment, a divine disciple hastily ran in and said, Young master, they have already returned to the inn. I have already sent people to guard the entrance. Young master of Martial Prowess Mansion's eyes darkened, and he shouted coldly, Good. Slap your father's face. Your father will break your head. Young master of Martial Prowess Mansion immediately led a group of people to slaughter their way out. Back at the inn, Yang Wonu, Yang Yu, and Nyo Dashan felt like they were dreaming, and couldn't react at all. Yang Wonu looked at Long Fei and said, You even know alchemy, and you even refined pills that even the master Kang Long was unable to refine. You are too unfathomable. I've never heard that youth master of Hellgate knows alchemy. Yang Yu was all smiles as he said, Long Fei, you are awesome. Nyo Dashan, on the other hand, recalled the expression on young master of Martial Prowess Mansion's face when he was stepped on by Long Fei and said, This is too satisfying, ha ha ha. Long Fei laughed, You guys still have a lot of things that you don't know. It was also at this time. Long Fei once again opened up the system to check the stats of the remaining 8 elixir. Increase lifespan by 100 years. For a super powerhouse who is running out of lifespan, this is simply a fatal temptation. Maybe he can use these pills to recruit a few super fighters. As Long Fei thought this, he also became secretly excited. He needed the protection of a powerful force. Right now, his cultivation was still too weak, so weak that he couldn't even protect himself, much less the people around him. Just as Long Fei was thinking about these, a person stood at the door and said respectfully, Lord Long, young master of Martial Prowess Mansion has already brought a group of people here. I am afraid it will not be good for you. Long Fei frowned. Nyo Dashan roared angrily, and said, Just now, I was stepped on like a dead dog by boss, and now, you still dare to come? Is Laozi scared of him? Yang Yu and Yang Wonu were looking at Long Fei. Long Fei frowned, he did not care about who it was. Whoever it was that rushed over would explode to death. However, Yang Yu would never use the martial arts training, so he would definitely not be able to take care of her. Furthermore, the people around young master of Martial Prowess Mansion were all experts. They were all at least spirit level. Long Fei could only handle a few of them, if they started fighting. Long Fei immediately made a decision, and said, We will leave first. Withdraw. Where are you 4 country bumpkins going? Suddenly, a disdainful sneer came from outside the door. Young master of Martial Prowess Mansion laughed complacently. I knew that you two would come and play with me together with Xiao Yarrow Business Alliance. All of you will die here today. As soon as he finished, the dozen or so disciples of Martial Prowess Mansion beside him rushed into the room in unison and quickly surrounded Long Fei and the other 4. Nyo Dashan shouted, Have you forgotten the feeling of being stepped on? Look at your face. It's still swollen like a pig's head. You still King dare to come here now? The muscles at the corner of young master of martial prowess Mansion's eyes twitched, his anger grew even stronger. Without waiting for Nyo Dashan to finish speaking, the pressure of a spirit-level peak realm suddenly burst forth, pouring down towards the ground. Buzz. Rumble. Nyo Dashan's body suddenly sank, and he immediately fell to the ground. Although Nyo Dashan had made a breakthrough, his cultivation was only at the spirit level, he could not withstand the pressure of the spirit-level peak masters. Keep clamoring for lousy, young master of martial prowess Mansion snorted coldly. Long Fei moved. In that instant, a dozen or so spirit rank powerhouses followed suit. They pulled out their long blades and placed it on Long Fei's neck without waiting for him to come close, preventing him from moving even half a step further. In that instant, young master of martial prowess Mansion sent a kick upwards, landing heavily on Long Fei's abdomen. Long Fei retreated quickly. Humph. Trash, you think you're worthy to fight against me? Young master of martial prowess Mansion laughed proudly. He did not place Long Fei in his eyes at all. A person of the purple realm simply did not qualify to enter his eyes. Long Fei's eyes darkened, his fists clenched tightly. The feeling of being crushed was very unpleasant. The difference in levels was too great, and he felt very uncomfortable. Young master of martial prowess Mansion looked at Long Fei with a cold smile, and said, "You're not convinced, are you? Not happy, right? Ha ha ha. If you don't like it, then I'll fly. Trash, try making a move on me again." While they were talking, the young master of martial prowess Mansion moved again. Long Fei frowned, the idea had triggered its paralyzed ring. At this moment, a disciple stabbed his blade into Yang Yu's neck. Bam! Long Fei was kicked once again, smashing into the wall and spitting out a mouthful of blood. The young master of martial prowess Mansion laughed coldly and said, "Ha ha ha. Trash. Sick." He felt extremely displeased. Long Fei's eyes were spitting fire. He hated that he couldn't break young master of martial prowess Mansion's head. The young master of martial prowess Mansion glared with both eyes as he stared at Long Fei with killing intent and said, "You have two choices now, take out the diamond invitation card and hand over your woman. Then, kneel down and kowtow and admit your mistakes. The second way is to die here." His aura was extremely savage. However, just as he finished speaking, a burst of noise came from the door as a disciple of the martial prowess Mansion flew in. "Who's going to die here?" Looking at the two footprints on Long Fei's chest, his brows tightened. He then coldly said while staring at the young master of martial prowess Mansion, "You're the one who wanted them to die here, right?" As the Azure Dragon spoke, over a dozen of Xiao Yaro Business Alliance's elite guards rushed in, instantly surrounding the young master of martial prowess Mansion and the others. Young master of martial prowess Mansion's expression changed as he said, "Master Kang Long, what do you mean by this?" "So what do you mean? It's very simple. Whoever wants my little brother Long to die, I want them to die." The Azure Dragon's words were ice cold, and he didn't seem to be joking in the slightest. Young master of martial prowess Mansion's expression sank and said, "Kang Long, this place is Lianyu Castle, it is my martial prowess Mansion's territory. Your Kang Lan Emperor is more than 100,000 miles away from here, you still want to?" Not waiting for him to finish, the Azure Dragon opened his eyebrows and a pressure came crushing down. Boom! Young master of martial prowess Mansion could not resist at all and instantly knelt on the ground, spitting out a mouthful of blood. Not only was the Azure Dragon an alchemist, he was also a fanatic of the martial arts training and his cultivation was not weak. Upon reaching the Sun rank, he could easily crush young master of martial prowess Mansion. "Now it's your father's turn, right?" Long Fei hugged his fists, and the sound of joints cracking could be heard as he walked over. Chapter 1231 Master of Martial Prowess Mansion. Chapter 1231 Master of Martial Prowess Mansion. Young master of martial prowess Mansion shouted angrily, "Trash, how dare you!" Not waiting for him to finish. "Wind God leg!" He kicked it and shouted, "There is nothing in this world that I don't dare to do." Boom. Boom, boom, boom. Young master of martial prowess Mansion who was pressed down by the Azure Dragon simply didn't have any strength to resist. The wind god leg's violent strike heavily smashed onto his face, and his pretty good face had completely twisted and deformed. Young master of martial prowess mansion was kicked away and smashed into the wall. His face was pale and his mouth was full of blood. Long Fei was much more vicious than him. Just now, Long Fei had received 2 kicks from him, but this time, he kicked her 4 times. He was extremely powerful. Young master of martial prowess mansion shouted, "Go!" The azure dragon suddenly shouted, "Whoever dares to move, I'll kill him." His voice crushed everything in its path. None of the martial prowess mansion S dared to make a move. In front of the Sun rank powerhouse, they were nothing. Level 1 could crush anyone to death, let alone one with a large realm. Kang Long said with a slight smile, "Brother Long, you can do whatever you want now. No one will dare to touch a single hair on your head." He wanted to help Long Fei. This was also what Chu Changkong had instructed her before she left. She could not let anything go wrong with Long Fei. Long Fei walked over coldly. He did not care if he used his own strength to crush a person. He only cared if he could blow up young master of martial prowess mansion in one go. Young master of martial prowess mansion kept asking from the side, "What do you want to do? You dare to kill me? I am the young master of the martial prowess mansion, a cripple like you." Before he could even say the word thing, Long Fei's figure disappeared and the power in his hands exploded out as he slapped young master of martial prowess mansion on the cheek. Long Fei asked, "Who's the trash?" "Pa." It was incomparably loud. Without waiting for young master of martial prowess mansion to speak, Long Fei slapped him again, and repeated himself, "Who is the trash?" Young master of martial prowess mansion was still being crushed by the azure dragon. He had no strength to retaliate, and could only rage in his eyes. His heart was beating wildly as he said, "Azure dragon, if you have the guts, retract your might, I'll kill him." "Kill me." The corner of Long Fei's mouth turned cold as he said, "Big brother Kang, take back your might. I want to see who kills who." Kang Long smiled faintly and said, "No problem." Although he said that, he still became cautious and alert. After all, the level difference between Long Fei and young master of martial prowess mansion was too huge. If something went wrong, he wouldn't be able to bear the consequences. The pressure loosened. Young master of martial prowess mansion's body suddenly shot out as he shouted, "Trash, prepare to die." However, without waiting for him to finish speaking, Long Fei's shoulder suddenly leaned on him, King Kong fist. Boom. Ding. Trigger paralysis. Young master of martial prowess mansion was thrown out. Following that, Long Fei's wind god leg flew out, wind god leg. A series of explosions occurred and he kicked out. Boom, boom, boom. Young master of martial prowess mansion was kicked away. In his paralyzed state, he felt even worse than being crushed by the pressure of the azure dragon. At this moment, Long Fei's right hand moved. The Xiao Luo machete fell into his hands. He took a step forward and landed right in front of young master of martial prowess mansion. "Who's going to die now?" The saber slashed down. Young master of martial prowess mansion's eyes were wide open in anger, his pupils were dilapidated, his crotch directly becoming wet. He was scared to the point of peeing and shouted, "Father, save me." Buzz. Long Fei slashed down with his blade, but when the mountain-splitting knife was still a few centimeters away from the young master of martial prowess mansion's head, he could not chop it off no matter how hard he tried. It was as if he was covered by a thick layer of steel. Boom. The sky darkened, a powerful force struck over. The powerful force instantly formed a shockwave that struck Xiong Longfei. The center of the azure dragon's brows trembled. His body descended and landed in front of Long Fei. Rumble. 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 The sky above the inn was filled with muffled thunder as explosions occurred non-stop. The azure dragon took a few steps back to stabilize his body. Even a Sun rank powerhouse could not withstand the impact of the attack, and if it was Long Fei, he would probably be killed instantly. The rumbling sounds faded away, and 2 silhouettes landed. Master of martial prowess mansion. The other person was another elder of the Xiao Yarrow Business Alliance, Chiu Hu. "Who wants to kill my son?" Master of martial prowess mansion's gaze darkened as he stared at Long Fei. The pressure was like a pillar, crushing down with great force. Long Fei's sea of consciousness suddenly exploded, his mind was in a mess. The pressure attack was Long Fei's most detestable attack, relying on his cultivation level to suppress the enemy. Being suppressed by that pressure made him very unhappy. However, Long Fei did not give in at all, and said, "It's me. You're courting death." The master of martial prowess mansion's gaze turned sinister, carrying killing intent. The pressure on them multiplied. Long Fei was unable to resist it, and his body was trembling. Kang Long's gaze tightened, he took a step forward to block, and said with a heavy tone, "Master of martial prowess mansion, if you dare to touch him, Kang Lan Emperor and your martial prowess mansion will be irreconcilable." His cultivation was not as good as master of martial prowess mansions. However, the power behind him was over 100 times that of the great martial prowess mansion, and that was why the master of martial prowess mansion was afraid of him. Master of martial prowess mansion's eyes darkened as he said, "Kang Long, you have to figure out whose territory this is." The Azure Dragon said, "I don't care whose territory it is, but if you want to touch him, then you have to kill me first." Master of martial prowess mansion, "Try touching me." Azure Dragon, "Don't be too arrogant." Master of martial prowess mansion was enraged. Kang Long laughed coldly and said, "I am very sorry, I have always been this arrogant. He is my sworn brother, if you touch him, it would be equivalent to touching this old man." Master of martial prowess mansion, "Try it." Very wild. Even Long Fei was shocked. Master of martial prowess mansion was also shocked in his heart. A top-ranked alchemist of the Chaos Realm is actually sworn brothers with an unknown brat. Who is that kid? Chiu Hu, who was standing beside him, also tightened his gaze and laughed lightly. "Master Kang Long, this is not a joke. This auction is going smoothly thanks to martial prowess mansion's help." There was a trace of intimidation in his words. Chiu Hu was in charge of the Soul Treasure auction. He was in charge of competition with Chu Changkong. Compared to the Spirit Pellet auctions, he had a huge advantage in terms of spirit treasures, so he normally did not place Chu Changkong in his eyes. This time, the arrival of the Azure Dragon made him unhappy. If he could suppress the Azure Dragon at this time, then his life would be even more carefree in the future. Kang Long sneered coldly and said, "It's my business whether or not I stand on the wrong side of the line. If you want to touch him, that's impossible." He was resolute and decisive. The gazes of both the master of martial prowess mansion and Chiu Hu darkened. They never thought that the Azure Dragon would be so hard. Young master of martial prowess mansion stood up from the ground and said, "Trash, do you dare to duel?" Long Fei laughed coldly, and said, "Here." Young master of martial prowess mansion said, 3 days later, in the auction, I will make you kneel on the ground and beg for forgiveness." Long Fei continued to laugh coldly. "Why be so troublesome, we can start right now." It was just that. At this moment, Kang Long suddenly said, "All right, let's do it at the auction 3 days later." Chapter 1232 Entering the Ghost's Cave. Chapter 1232 Entering the Ghost's Cave 1v1. As long as it was not a superpower house, Long Fei was not afraid of anything that could break his defense. The 3 holy artifacts were not bragging. With paralyzed ring in hand, as long as they were paralyzed to the point of being violent, they would be beaten up. Paralyzed ring S were simply challenging one-on-one. Long Fei didn't have to be afraid of anyone, but when the Azure Dragon suddenly said this, Long Fei swallowed back the words that he had swallowed. He definitely had his reasons. He definitely had thought of something even more. Kang Long continued, "Within 3 days, if your martial prowess mansion dares to disturb him, we'll consider it your loss." Young master of martial prowess mansion sneered, "Brat, prepare to die 3 days later." And then, the 3 of them left. The instant they walked out of the courtyard, the Azure Dragon couldn't hold back any longer. A mouthful of black blood spurted out from his mouth. His face paled and his body trembled. He was forced to retreat a few steps backward consecutively. Long Fei's expression changed as he immediately ran over to support the Azure Dragon. Big brother Kang Long, the Azure Dragon, took out a medicinal pellet and swallowed it, laughing, "I'm fine, these kind of insignificant injuries are still not enough to hurt my foundation. I just left because no matter if you win or lose, you will die." Young Master of Martial Prowess Mansion lost. Master of Martial Prowess Mansion would definitely take action, and with my power, I cannot fight back against him. But it will be different in 3 days. Even if you lose, they won't be able to kill you. The Azure Dragon laughed, as if he had succeeded. Chu Changkong would definitely rush back during the auction. At that time, he would not be alone. Who would dare to touch Long Fei? Long Fei was shocked. He did not think of this just now. Just as Kang Long had said, even if he won, the Master of Martial Prowess Mansion would make his move, so it would be difficult for him to escape death. The older the better, Long Fei had to admit. However, the Azure Dragon looked at Long Fei and said, I heard that your strength has a type of paralyzing attribute. I don't know what kind of power this is. Young Master of Martial Prowess Mansion has been injured twice in succession in this kind of numbing state, so he will definitely take precautions in the competition 3 days later. At that time, your advantage will be. This was a disadvantage. This was also the reason why young Master of Martial Prowess Mansion chose to compete 3 days later. He had yet to find a way to avoid the paralysis. If he were to fight now, he would definitely lose. In these 3 days, if he could think of a way to break Long Fei's numbing power, then Long Fei would not be his match at all. The difference in cultivation was simply too great. How could he be a match for someone at the 15th rank? Only by raising one's cultivation to the same starting point would one have the ability to fight. This was also what the Azure Dragon was worried about. Kang Long said with a slight smile, in 3 days, how can we make up for the difference in realms? Even if you have some special battle pills medicine, it would still be useless. Furthermore, there are also many battle pills medicine Martial Prowess Mansioness. You have no advantage at all. 3 days. Level 15. It was very difficult. It was quite difficult. However, the more difficult it was, the more Long Fei wanted to challenge it. Immediately, Long Fei said, Big Brother Kang Long, there are still 3 days. I want to head out for a trial and seek a breakthrough, so I'll have to trouble you to take care of the 3 of them. Long Fei looked at Yang Yu and said gently, wait for my return. Finished. Long Fei turned and left without any hesitation. Paralyzed Ring were indeed powerful. But his disadvantage was that he had to use melee attacks in order to have the opportunity to trigger the stun effect. Moreover, the higher a person's defense was, the harder it was to paralyze them. In addition, the faster a person was, the lower the numbing effect would be. If the paralyzed ring was broken by the young Master of Martial Prowess Mansion, how could Long Fei match up? Only levels. Only leveling up could make up for all of this. Upgrade. It is crucial. After exiting the Lianyu Castle, Long Fei summoned his fire unicorn and shouted, Go to the Ghost's Cave. Martial Housemaster, young master, that kid left the Lianyu Castle. The inn was surrounded by people from the Martial Prowess Mansion. The moment Long Fei left the Lianyu Castle, they would immediately notify him. The space between Master of Martial Prowess Mansion's eyebrows deepened as he said, You want to play this game with me? Chiu Hu asked, Did he leave the city alone? Just him alone, went towards the direction of the Ghost's Cave. Then the guard said. Chiu Hu squinted his eyes, revealing a crafty look. He said, What is this kid doing? Even if you want to escape, you shouldn't go to Ghost's Cave. The Master of Martial Prowess Mansion said, This is where his brilliance lies. The more dangerous the place is, the safer it is. Chiu Hu thought for a moment, then said, Palace Chief, leave this matter to me, I will capture him and bring him back. Young Master of Martial Prowess Mansion slightly said, I will knock him down on the stage and beg for mercy while he kneels in front of me. Master of Martial Prowess Mansion looked at Chiu Hu and said, Then I'll be troubling Elder Chiu. Chiu Hu smiled and walked out. Don't worry, I'll let you kill him with your own hands. Master of Martial Prowess Mansion said, You said that his power has a paralyzing attribute. What kind of feeling is this? Explain in detail for me. 2 hands. Since Long Fei wasn't able to come back, Chiu Hu could use this opportunity to viciously suppress him. If Long Fei came back, Master of Martial Prowess Mansion would also think of a way to break the paralyzed ring. The 4 of us have already snuck into the auction house. At night. In a simple and crude small courtyard. The 8 of them gathered together. The Holy Spirit took out 4 ordinary invitation cards and said, "We've already obtained the invitation card, we just need to wait for the auction to begin, hey. The auction this time will be an unprecedented grand one. If we can obtain the last secret treasure volume Question of God, we will be selling it, and we will have enough money to look for the boss." Hearing the 2 words boss, Aoya's expression changed. Her eyes were blazing. The same was true for the other 7. They had been killed by Jiu Tongtian and fallen into hell, but a bizarre power had wrapped around their souls and baptized them in a strong power. Chaos Realm. They didn't know if Long Fei had flown into the Chaos Realm, but they believed that they would definitely be able to wait for him there. Because they are the 8 King Kong. Strength that had 8 different attributes. Li Yuanbar muttered, "I really miss Boss. I wonder where Boss is now." Everyone fell silent. Sky Spirit clenched his hands and said, "Once we have snatched enough money, we will look for Boss everywhere. If we cannot, we will think of a way to return to God's martial continent." Everyone nodded heavily. Without Long Fei, his days would be boring. In the Chaos Realm, their strengths were already completely different. However, they had never revealed such a different power because this kind of power was not something that even they could completely control. Once it exploded, it would be an existence that could destroy the heavens and the earth. They know. Only the boss could control their strength. Their appearances did not change at all, but they did not know that Long Fei's had changed so much that he was not the same person. Even if they met him on the street, they wouldn't be able to recognize him. Chapter 1233 Tasks That Can't Be Rejected. Chapter 1233 Tasks That Can't Be Rejected. Ghost's Cave. It was as sinister as hell, and all sorts of screams were emitted from the darkness. It was as if evil spirits were wailing. A forbidden area for the living. The paradise of death. Ghost's Cave was a huge valley with countless deep caves. In the dark of the night, the cave emitted green ghost flames and there was no end to it. Very few people dared to enter this place. But Long Fei had no choice but to enter. The demon beast in the mountain range simply could not satisfy his need to level up. He had to enter some more dangerous places, and only the more dangerous the places, the more experience he would gain. Midnight. Long Fei stood in the depths of the ghost's cave as he lightly exhaled, 3 days, 15 levels. Huff. F***CK. Long Fei immediately stepped into a deep hole, and the Xiao Luo machete in his hand cut apart the ghost flame, then his figure was engulfed by darkness. Woo! A gust of cold wind blew, and before Long Fei could react, a gloomy and sinister spirit body pounced at him. Boom! The Xiao Luo machete in Long Fei's hand moved and slashed. Swish! It missed. A spirit body was not affected by normal physical attacks, mountain-splitting knife piercing through his body and did not cause any damage. Long Fei's heart tensed up. Damn, then how do I kill him? Bam! With the spirit body wrapped around his neck, Long Fei rolled his eyes. The fire unicorn said, "Master, let me out. Let me go out and bite it to death." Long Fei said, "It's not time for you to make an appearance yet. Fire unicorn, give me some of your blood." The fire unicorn moved and condensed the Chilean blood into Long Fei. He was an ancient divine beast and had the power to repel evil. At this moment, in the dark night, Long Fei's eyes were as bright as day. His body suddenly flipped, stared at the spirit body that was sneering at him, and slashed down. Boom! It was divided into 2. Instant kill. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing evil spirit body, for obtaining 4,000 experience, 500 holy source points, and 1 energy values point. Ha ha ha! It worked. The corner of Long Fei's mouth curled up, and he said slightly, "Now let's see where you guys can run to." He charged straight down. There weren't many evil spirit body along the way, just a few scattered, but the experiences of these spirit bodies were pretty good. Long Fei went deeper. The lower one went, the larger the space became, until it was like the bottom of an abyss. Strangely enough, there was still no evil spirit body around, which made Long Fei a little irritated, and he thought to himself, The experience points is not bad, but the number of monsters are too little. How do I level up? There was no other way. It was too late to change the map, so he could only continue. For the entire night, Long Fei's experience did not even reach half a level. After dawn, this place was even more empty. Not even the shadow of a spirit body could be found. He wanted to attract more monsters for Fire Unicorn to attack, but nothing at all. What the F***ck? During the day, Long Fei entered the surrounding mountains to hunt Demon Beast. The next night, Long Fei entered the valley again. Like last night, there were no evil spirit body around, as if they had all avoided him. Long Fei was really puzzled. An entire day has passed and I haven't even reached level 1. If this goes on, let alone level 15, I won't even be able to reach level 1. What the hell is going on? Didn't they say that the Ghost's Cave is a forbidden grounds? No one dared to enter. This was a forbidden area. Forbidden your *SS my ass. Long Fei could not help but scold. There was no other way. Long Fei could only endure. Another night, and Long Fei once again entered Ghost's Cave Valley. This time. Suddenly it was different. This time, a blood moon appeared in the sky. A round blood moon. The distance outside the valley began to fluctuate. All the demon beast were frantically fleeing, but from time to time, the cries of demon beast could be heard as rows and rows of evil spirit body carried them into the valley. In just a short half an hour, the corpses of demon beast piled up like a mountain. In the center of the valley, there was a huge groove. At first, Long Fei thought it was just a trap. But now, the grooves were used to store blood. The blood slowly flowed out of the grooves and flowed along all sorts of strange paths. This was a kind of sacrifice. Long Fei's mind was filled with questions. Looking at the dense evil spirit body in the valley, he was not in a hurry to go out. He also wanted to know what these ghosts were doing. Half a minute later, the valley was surrounded by blood, and a massive formation took form. Under the light of the blood-red moon, the entire valley turned blood-red. Blood sacrifice world. Long Fei's face changed. Damn, what the hell are you trying to do? Buzz. In the groove in the middle of the blood pool, a body slowly rose up, emitting an incomparably powerful blood sacrificial strength. Blood all over. However, Long Fei could tell that she was a woman, because the two protruding peaks on his chest were not obstructed by anything at all. She was also a very beautiful woman. Her figure was extremely hot. Her upper legs were slender, belonging to the tempo of only being able to play the new year with her legs. At this moment, the girl abruptly opened her eyes and stared at the blood moon in the sky. The blood moon's blood energy slowly floated down. The woman took a deep breath and the essence of the blood moon was quickly absorbed by him. At this moment, the powerful force in her body disappeared. At this moment, there was a commotion in the woods. Suddenly, he shouted, "It's the right time to do it." Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Several figures suddenly flew out from the forest, their target being the woman in the blood pool. Seeing that someone had appeared, the surrounding evil spirit body let out a mournful ghost cry. In the midst of their craziness, the woman was their king. Their king was at the critical point of his breakthrough. A blood moon that only appeared once every 10 years, they definitely could not let anyone destroy it. Moreover, when the woman absorbed the blood moon essence, she had no power, and her cultivation was completely gone. This was her most fatal moment. Everything happened too fast. The reaction of the evil spirit body could not keep up. These people's cultivation were too strong, each one of them was a peak spirit level powerhouse, and there was even a sun level powerhouse. Evil spirit body was simply unable to resist it. Moreover, their king was absorbing the blood moon essence, so they had no way to command him. They were like 5 flies, only able to crazily rush up to block him. But right at this moment, the queen's eyes suddenly turned and stared straight at Long Fei, who was in the darkness. Their gazes met and a pleading look appeared in her eyes. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for triggering the hidden quest Save the Queen of Blood Moon. Level, SS time, 1 hour reward, special reward. Damn! Long Fei suddenly cursed in his heart. So many experts, are they sending me to my death? Deny. Ding. The quest cannot be refused. If the quest fails, the player will be killed. Damn you. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.